I didn't expect that even after breaking through to the Nine Tribulations realm, this mana channel would still be so difficult to pass. The face of the middle-aged man in the purple dragon robe did not look relaxed. He originally thought that with his cultivation of the Nine Tribulations of Primordial Spirit, entering this mana test channel would be a breeze, and he would easily break through. However, reality was not as simple as he imagined. This mana channel was far more difficult than he had expected, because it tests not only the depth of mana but also the quality and control of it, especially the control over one's own mana, which was precisely the aspect where the middle-aged man in the purple dragon robe was relatively lacking. After all, he had just broken through not long ago and lacked sufficient time to refine and perfectly control his mana. This also meant that his speed in passing through the previous levels was not as fast as he expected. I wonder what level others in the different test channels have reached. The face of the middle-aged man in the purple dragon robe was gloomy. Then his figure disappeared as he entered the fourth level. Finally entered the fourth level, just as the middle-aged man in the purple dragon robe broke through. In the fourth level of the Divine Soul Test channel, a graceful figure suddenly appeared. It was Peach Fairy from the Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal. However, at this moment Peach Fairy's face was a bit pale. Clearly, passing the third level was not easy for her. As soon as she entered the fourth level and saw no one around, Peach Fairy took out an elixir, consumed it, and began to mobilize her energy to recover. With the help of the elixir's power, it didn't take long for her primordial spirit to fully recover, and she became radiant once more. I thought that with the secret technique of the sect and my inherent divine soul talent, I could pass the divine soul channel test more easily, but it seems I was too naive. With her heart and spirit restored, Peach Fairy showed a complex expression. Recalling her experience in the third level, she realized she underestimated the test of the divine soul channel. No wonder the ancestor, in the records left behind, earnestly warned them not to venture through this channel without honing their divine soul to a very high realm. I wonder which level others have reached. According to the ancestor's last words, the fifth level might involve encountering others, and I must be very cautious. Peach Fairy was feeling a bit heavy-hearted. She felt that her speed in breaking through was a bit too slow, and she was unclear about the progress of other opponents. If someone else managed to get to the fifth level before her for an ambush, like those self-proclaimed righteous guys, it would certainly be disadvantageous for her. Especially Qing Xii, that vile woman, would probably wish to kill her immediately. So Peach Fairy knew that she must break through this level quickly and enter the fifth level as soon as possible. If she could be the first to enter the fifth level, it would give her the greatest advantage. Looks like I have no choice but to use some of my foundation. Peach Fairy, feeling a bit pained, took out a jade bottle, hesitated for a moment, and finally decisively consumed the elixir within. Soon, with the elixir's power breaking out, her primordial spirit power began to soar. Then, she started looking at the challenges of the fourth level. So this is the fifth level, interesting. In the physical body channel, Mo Tushan's commanding figure appeared in the fifth level. He looked around the space he was in and noticed 7 additional transmission arrays, and his eyes immediately showed a look of interest. According to the records left by the ancestor, once you reach the fifth level, you can engage in combat with trialists from other channels. Should I go over and play with them? After some contemplation, Mo Tushan finally decided, let's do it. Otherwise, just breaking through levels this tediously is quite boring. With that said, he took a step forward and went to one of the transmission arrays, his figure vanishing. Finally broke through the level. After spending 3 whole days on the fourth level, Peach Fairy finally succeeded in breaking through. Seeing the light pillar appear and envelop her, a look of joy emerged on her face. Yet she also felt the trials of the Immortal Palace's tests to be exceptionally challenging. Despite using a blood god pill, she still had to spend 3 days to break the fourth level. Who knows how much more difficult the later levels would be, and whether the remaining resources in her hand would be enough to reach the end. I wonder if anyone has reached the fifth level before me. Peach Fairy displayed a cautious expression on her face. As the light pillar faded, her figure also disappeared from the 4th level. Once her vision cleared again, before she could even sense her surroundings, she suddenly became wary. Without a second thought, Peach Fairy immediately activated her protective Dharma treasure, and the red silk on her shoulder flew up, completely surrounding her. But to her surprise, the anticipated ambush did not happen. Instead, a rough voice sounded. As expected, I guessed correctly. Fairy, you are taking the Divine Soul Test channel. It's you. Seeing that burly and commanding figure, Peach Fairy felt somewhat relieved. Putting on a bewitching smile, she sweetly said, "So it's Brother Tushan. Why do you scare people like that?" However, she did not withdraw her treasure, keeping her guard up even more. This Mo Tushan was indeed one of the most outstanding disciples of this generation in the Black and White Temple. He managed to break through earlier than her despite her using up resources. My bad. Let me apologize to you here, Fairy. Mo Tushan grinned at Peach Fairy. But I waited here for you to ask whether the agreement we made that day is still in effect? Of course it's still valid. I would be overjoyed to have the protection of such a strong backer like you, my brother, Peach Fairy said with a captivating smile. But can you tell me, Brother Tushan, how long have you been in the 5th level? It's just a few days earlier than you, Mo Tushan said. Peach Fairy heard this, and her heart immediately shook. She had thought the other party had broken through only a day or half a day before her, never expecting it was actually several days earlier. She remembered that Mo Tushan had chosen the path of physical body test. Being able to enter the 5th gate so quickly, it's hard to imagine how much the opponent's physical body has been tempered. This true and direct lineage of Black and White Temple is far more powerful than she imagined. Brother Tushan's cultivation is profound. This little sister admires immensely. Peach Fairy's face revealed a look of admiration. It's just a small matter. The first few gates of this test channel actually aren't that difficult. Mo Tushan said calmly, Fairy, since you still remember our agreement, I wonder if you have any interest in going with me to accomplish something big? What big matter? Peach Fairy asked nonchalantly. I want to go find Yu Jian to have a match. Do you have any interest in going together? Brother Tushan wants to compete with Yu Jian? Peach Fairy was initially shocked, then her face showed a troubled expression. Both of you have cultivation far beyond your peers. What ability does this little sister have to help you? Fairy is too modest. The cultivation technique of Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal is divine and mysterious. Unique in the world. Who doesn't know this? Mo Tushan smiled widely. Besides, you dislike Qing Xii, don't you? Sky-Breaking Sword Sect and Kongming Sect are close. Yu Jian and Qing Xii will probably go through the Sword Dao test channel. It's perfect for the two of us to join forces and ambush them. If we can kill them, wouldn't it be a great deed? So Brother Tushan wants me to help hold the fort. Peach Fairy, hearing this, finally understood. Mo Tushan actually wanted to take action against Yu Jian but was apprehensive because the opponent has 2 8 Tribulations primordial spirits. So he wanted to team up with her. Indeed, what does Fairy think? I remember Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal also has grudges with Kongming Sect. If you can take this opportunity to eliminate a true lineage prodigy, wouldn't it be a great merit for you? Peach Fairy was somewhat moved upon hearing this. Mo Tushan was right. If she really could kill Qing Xii, there would definitely be a large reward when she returned to the sect. More importantly, the strength displayed by Mo Tushan made her feel this matter was doable. But she didn't immediately agree, showing a troubled expression. Brother Tushan's proposal is indeed attractive, but the most important thing for this little sister is still to break through first. This is the task assigned by the sect. You know, this little sister had quite a difficult time with the previous gates. No need to rush, Fairy. The test of the 5th gate has a 1-year limit. There's plenty of time. After we kill Yu Jian and Qing Xii, it's not too late to slowly complete the test. 1 year. Peach Fairy naturally knew this. For a moment, she fell into silence. Seeing her ponder, Mo Tushan did not urge her. Although this woman seemed weak on the surface, he knew very well that she was not easy to deal with. Those who cultivated to the primordial spirit 8th tribulation level were never simple. He also knew some of the grudges between Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal and Kongming sect. He believed that she would eventually be tempted. Sure enough, after a while, Peach Fairy seemed to make up her mind, suddenly raised her head, and revealed a faint smile. Then this little sister will go and admire Brother Tushan's heroic posture. These guys, they really start killing each other as expected. In the Immortal Palace, Ming Feng looked at the image displayed on the light screen and revealed a dismissive expression. No matter how many tens of thousands of years have passed, these human clan cultivators still can't avoid the nature of infighting. Can't they think why the master intentionally left a teleportation array that leads to other channels in the fifth gate? Perhaps they thought of it, but they still chose this way. Old Cyan Dragon said, "Moreover, those who like to fight internally are not just human clan cultivators, we spiritual beasts and mutant beasts. For the sake of cultivation resources, we consume each other. Isn't it a common thing?" Exactly, survival of the fittest through natural selection. Isn't that how we came through initially? Black Bull said. Clearly, these three mutant beasts still had some differences in their philosophies. Anyway, the master doesn't like this, and you see, Ah Ching earlier was focused only on cracking the array. Not even looking at those transmission arrays. That's true determination of Dao heart. Ming Feng said coldly. That's a fair point. Ah Ching is not someone these people can compare to. The other two agreed. When Lu Qing entered the fifth gate earlier, after just a few glances at the transmission arrays, he focused on cracking the array. He didn't enter those transmission arrays to inspect other channels. Look, they are about to fight. Wonder how many people will survive this time, Black Bull suddenly said. Also, there was a hint of fluctuation in his eyes. The days in the Immortal Palace are boring. Having some drama to watch is a rare entertainment. Boom! In the fifth gate of the Sword Dao channel, Yu Jian slashed a sword, temporarily forcing Mo Tushan to retreat. But at this time, his aura was somewhat unstable. Clearly, he had suffered a not light injury. Meanwhile, on the other side, a mass of pink smoke was covering a large part of the space. Within it, sword light shot in all directions, power surging clearly. There were also strong individuals exchanging blows. Seeing Yu Jian's unstable aura, Mo Tushan revealed a sinister smile. Worthy of being the direct disciple of sky-breaking sword sect, even after receiving my demon heaven blood palm, you still withstand it. But do you think without time to heal, you can resist me for how long? Evil demon is just evil demon. Only good at ambush, useless otherwise. Yu Jian's face was slightly pale, but his gaze remained calm. Ha! You hypocritical righteous gentlemen only have this phrase. Rest assured, after you die, I will definitely refine your head into my trophy, carrying it with me. Mo Tushan's gaze was fierce. His whole body shone with demonic light. Moving toward Yu Jian, a palm shot out. Under the surging demonic chi, Yu Jian's clothing fluttered. Facing this fierce attack, Yu Jian was not rushed, similarly slashing out a sword. The sharp and refined sword light shot out, cutting into Mo Tushan's demonic palm. A blast resounded, yet another evenly matched confrontation. Let's see how long you can last. Mo Tushan's gaze chilled, stepping close, like endless towering ocean waves, palm after palm striking forward. Confronting such terrible offense, Yu Jian chose a defensive stance. Layers of sword light shielded himself. Just like a stubborn rock in the sea, no matter how fierce the waves were, it remained steady without a hint of shake. Thus, an hour passed. Mo Tushan's offensive was ferocious, yet he always couldn't break through Yu Jian's defense. The dignified direct disciple of sky-breaking sword sect, is that all you can do? Hiding like a turtle. Mo Tushan, unable to succeed for a long time, shouted fiercely. Yu Jian was indifferent, as if truly transformed into a rock, only slashing one sword after another to dissolve the offense before him, completely ignoring other matters. Seeing this, Mo Tushan felt furious. With a thought, the shadow of a demon tower began to vaguely appear behind him. Oh, willing to risk everything? Yu Jian sensed a terrifying momentum, his expression still unchanged. With a thought, A treasure sword shadow appeared behind him as well. A terrifying sword intent immediately enveloped the entire space. Only slashing one sword after another to dissolve the offense before him, completely ignoring other matters. Seeing this, Emo Tushan felt furious. With a thought, the shadow of a demon tower began to vaguely appear behind him. Oh, willing to risk everything? Yu Jian sensed a terrifying momentum, his expression still unchanged. With a thought, a treasure sword shadow appeared behind him as well. The sudden retreat of Peach Fairy was completely unexpected for the few people present. With the magical treasure no longer trapping her, Qing 12's figure reappeared. Seeing Yu Jian and Emo Tushan in a standoff, without a second thought, she unleashed a sword light, slashing directly at Emo Tushan. Damn wench! Emo Tushan's expression changed as he retreated, avoiding the sword light and heading towards the teleportation array. The treasure sword shadow behind Yu Jian made him realize the opponent also possessed a powerful spiritual artifact not much weaker than his 9 Abyss Demon Tower. If they were to fight head-on, even if he could kill the opponent, he would certainly suffer serious injuries as well. Plus, with Qing Xii breaking free, if the two of them joined forces, even he would have difficulty resisting. More importantly, if he were to suffer severe injuries and couldn't recover in time, it would be very hard to pass this 5th level. With this in mind, Emo Tushan's determination to retreat grew even stronger. He unleashed a demon energy palm, blocking the sword lights Qing Xii consecutively sent out, and without a second glance, he disappeared into the teleportation array, returning to the physical body test passage. Trying to run? Seeing this, Qing 12's eyebrows furrowed as she prepared to chase him with her sword. Junior sister Qing Xii, wait. But at that moment, Yu Jian called out to her, "Don't chase a cornered enemy. Be cautious of ambushes ahead." As he spoke, his aura significantly waned, and the giant sword shadow behind him shattered as well. Senior brother Yu Jian. Qing Xii was taken aback and quickly went to his side. Seeing the pallor on Yu Jian's face and his considerably weakened aura, she realized that Yu Jian was merely holding strong earlier and was actually at his limit. Senior brother Yu Jian, it's my fault for being careless. If it weren't for you blocking that strike for me, Emo Tushan wouldn't have succeeded in his sneak attack. Qing 12's face was full of guilt as she hurriedly took out healing pills from her storage magical treasure to give to Yu Jian. Earlier, when they had just reached the 5th level, they were ambushed by Emo Tushan and Peach Fairy. If not for Yu Jian's quick reaction, she might have been the one severely injured. It's not your fault. Yu Jian shook his head after taking the elixir. We were also careless. We didn't expect Emo Tushan to ally with Peach Fairy. The Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal's secret technique is indeed extraordinary. Even we couldn't detect the aura in time. What surprised Yu Jian even more was that Emo Tushan and Peach Fairy managed to break through the level so quickly and ambush them in advance. He wondered what kind of foundation they used to achieve this. That vixen Peach Fairy, she will pay blood for blood sooner or later. Qing Xii gritted her teeth and said, if it weren't for that vixen's assistance, Emo Tushan alone wouldn't have had the courage to ambush them both. All in all, we were too careless. Yu Jian sighed. Even though the ancestral records had repeatedly warned them, they still nearly got ambushed. They were truly too careless. Qing Xii remained silent. She didn't expect Emo Tushan and the demoness Peach Fairy to team up, especially since before entering the secret realm, that demoness seemed to be closer to He Ming. After a moment of silence, Qing Xii asked, Senior brother Yu Jian, how long will it take for you to recover? These injuries aren't light, but fortunately, with your elixir's help, I should be fully recovered in 10 days at most. 10 days, the clearance time limit for this level is 1 year. You'll still have time to pass the level, senior brother. Hearing this, Qing Xii finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then during these 10 days, I'll trouble you, junior sister Qing Xii, to protect me. Don't worry, senior brother. I won't let anyone disturb you, Qing Xii said with determination. Yu Jian nodded slightly, then took out an array plate, cast it to protect himself, and began healing. Meanwhile, Qing Xii concealed her aura, lurking nearby, and kept a close watch on those 7 transmission arrays on the ground. If anyone appeared, they would immediately face her torrential assault. At this point, Qing Xii didn't care about possibly injuring someone by mistake. Besides, anyone using the transmission array to enter other trial passages at this time clearly had ulterior motives. She couldn't afford to take such risks again. Damn wench! While Qing Xii was on high alert, protecting Yu Jian, elsewhere in the physical body test passage, Mo Tushan was full of anger, cursing. He cursed not only Qing Xii but also Peach Fairy. If Peach Fairy hadn't suddenly fled, even if he couldn't kill Yu Jian, he could have severely injured him, making it impossible for him to recover his origin for decades. This way, Yu Jian would be unable to continue passing the levels, effectively rendering him temporarily crippled. But such a great opportunity was ruined by that wench Peach Fairy, which made Mo Tushan infuriated. As expected, the wenches from the pavilion of the enchanting immortal can't be trusted, real turncoats. Mo Tushan's eyes were cold as he stepped into the transmission array leading to the Divine Soul Channel, intending to confront her. However, when he arrived at the 5th level of the Divine Soul Test Channel, he found it empty with no sign of Peach Fairy. Knowing this, he realized she must have fled first due to her guilty conscience about retreating. With a cold and silent gaze, Mo Tushan eventually decided not to pursue further. With Peach Fairy's slyness, if she was determined to flee, he couldn't do anything to her. Moreover, she had previously been cozy with He Ming, and this time she was likely seeking him out. Mo Tushan harbored a significant fear of He Ming, knowing that with his strength, entering the 5th level was no problem. If He Ming and Peach Fairy joined forces, he might find it difficult to handle them. Forget it. I'll settle the score with that bitch later. Mo Tushan turned and returned to the physical body trial passage. The most important thing now is to pass the trial first. If he gets injured in an attempt for revenge, affecting his passage through the trial, it would not be worth it. These little fellows are all rather shrewd. In the Immortal Palace, the Black Bull watched the movements on the light screen and laughed. Who could reach the 8th tribulation of the primordial spirit so easily? Said the old Cyan Dragon. These cultivators are elite disciples of those sect forces outside. Naturally, each of them is astute. Only Ming Feng remained silent, merely watching this scene coldly. Let's keep watching. The time limit for breaking the 5th trial is 1 year. As more people break through, there should be more excitement to see after that. The Black Bull spoke with great interest. It was eager to witness the unfolding events, anticipating the upcoming developments. Day after day passed, with the strong ones in the trial passages still striving to break through. Lu Qing, who was cultivating diligently in the Spirit Void Peak, was also quickly advancing his own cultivation. The elixirs given by the old Cyan Dragon were extraordinary, with extremely high grades. Moreover, the spiritual energy on Spirit Void Peak was of very high quality. No worse than the spiritual charm contained within middle-grade spirit stones. With such abundant medicinal power and majestic spiritual energy, Lu Qing accepted everything without hesitation, absorbing and refining it all. Even with his immensely powerful foundation, his cultivation continued to rise rapidly, increasing at a pace that would leave others stunned. Just like that, 3 months passed, and Lu Qing's cultivation reached the level of 4 tribulations small success. After 1 year, he rushed to the great success realm. 2 years later, he reached perfection without any bottlenecks. When his cultivation reached the 4 tribulations perfection, Lu Qing finally awakened slowly from meditation. Finally reached 4 tribulations perfection. Lu Qing felt the overwhelming mana within his body, feeling extremely satisfied. In 2 years, from initially entering the 4 tribulations to reaching 4 tribulations perfection. Such cultivation speed would be terrifying for any primordial spirit realm cultivator. Moreover, with his profound foundation, every slight advancement in cultivation required a tremendous amount of resources. To cultivate so quickly was entirely thanks to the elixirs given by the old Cyan dragon and the massive spiritual energy within this cave mansion. Otherwise, relying solely on the remaining spirit stones on Lu Qing, it would be impossible to sustain such consumption. Next, after some preparation, I'll get ready to cross the tribulation. Even though he reached Four Tribulations' perfection, Lu Qing did not choose to emerge from seclusion. Instead, he planned to prepare and then directly cross the tribulation, striving to reach the Five Tribulation primordial spirit in one go. Only upon reaching the Five Tribulations primordial spirit could he begin comprehending and mastering the laws, further closing the gap between himself and the pinnacle of the primordial spirit. Oh, Little Li has broken through? Lu Qing sensed Little Li's condition and unexpectedly found that the little guy had already broken through to the 7th transition golden core. And its aura was steady, suggesting it had broken through for some time. Seeing Little Li still cultivating, Lu Qing was happy for it but didn't disturb it. Instead, he closed his eyes and entered meditation once again. Another month passed, and Lu Qing polished his aura to the point of consummate harmony. He didn't hesitate and directly invoked the ominous tribulation chi. Rumble. The next moment, amid an invisible roar, vast celestial might descended. Countless deathly tribulation chi formed out of thin air, completely engulfing Lu Qing, aiming to obliterate his physical body and primordial spirit completely. This disturbance immediately startled Little Li, who was cultivating. Qing is crossing the tribulation again? Seeing the deathly tribulation chi engulfing Lu Qing, Little Li's mouth opened slightly. Although it had witnessed such scenes many times over the past decade, it couldn't help but tremble with shock. Moreover, it could feel that Lu Qing's current tribulation differed greatly from the previous ones. The power of this tribulation was far stronger. This 5th primordial spirit tribulation is indeed extraordinary, but I should be able to handle it. Lu Qing also realized that the power of this 5th tribulation was far more terrifying. But with his foundation, crossing it shouldn't be difficult. What? Just as Lu Qing invoked the tribulation, in another layer of space, the old Cyan dragon trembled, revealing an expression of surprise. Old Cyan dragon, what's wrong now? Asked the Black Bull, watching the light screen. It noticed that ever since the Immortal Palace opened, the old Cyan dragon had become somewhat jumpy. Ming Feng also turned its head to look at the old Cyan dragon. There's the presence of celestial might and the aura of a tribulation in the 2nd layer of space, said the old Cyan dragon with a somewhat perplexed expression. Aura of a tribulation? The Black Bull was also surprised. Isn't Qing the only one in the 2nd layer of space? Could it be? Let's go take a look. The old Cyan dragon immediately waved its claw, causing spatial power to surge, enveloping all 3 of them. Soon, the figures of the 3 mutant beasts appeared in the 2nd layer of space. It's indeed the aura of a tribulation. Looking at Spirit Void Peak below, the Black Bull was also somewhat moved. Although they couldn't see the situation inside the Direct Disciples' cave mansion, they could sense the powerful celestial might and the aura of the tribulation. Is Qing crossing a tribulation inside? But wasn't he just at the early stage of the 4 tribulations primordial spirit? How much time has passed, and now he's starting to break through to the 5 tribulations realm. The old Cyan dragon and Ming Feng were also shaken. With their realm, they could naturally see that before closing the pass, Lu Qing had only recently broken through to the 4 tribulations of the primordial spirit. But how much time has passed now? And he's already cultivated to 4 tribulations perfection and is beginning to cross the tribulation to 5 tribulations. Even with the elixirs given by the old Cyan dragon, this speed shouldn't be possible. It seems we still don't fully understand Qing's cultivation talent. The old Cyan dragon's eyes shone with a strange light. It suddenly recalled that Lu Qing had previously asked if it was possible to practice another cultivation path simultaneously. Could it be that, apart from Array Dao, Qing has another equally superb cultivation talent? The Black Bull and Ming Feng also considered this question. They exchanged glances, their eyes showing expressions of pleasant surprise. If this is true, then they wouldn't merely have found a treasure this time. Though delighted inside, the old Saiyan dragon and the others didn't disturb Lu Qing's tribulation but waited patiently outside. At this moment, the situation in the trial passage had already been cast aside by them. Even if everyone inside killed each other, it wouldn't attract their attention. Thus, the three mutant beasts waited outside for 3 full days before sensing that the aura of the tribulation in Spirit Void Peak was gradually dissipating. But soon, an even stronger celestial might erupted from within, accompanied by an incredibly intense vitality fluctuation. Even the cave mansion's array on Spirit Void Peak couldn't fully conceal it. Such powerful vitality fluctuations! The old Saiyan dragon and the others were once again astonished. They naturally knew this vitality fluctuation was granted by the Tao after a successful tribulation crossing in the primordial spirit realm. To help the tribulation crossers reshape their physical bodies, transform, and increase their mana. But the vitality fluctuations erupting from inside Spirit Void Peak at this moment were unlike any that a 5 tribulation primordial spirit could induce after successfully crossing a tribulation. Even if an 8 tribulation primordial spirit successfully crosses into the 9 tribulation realm, it might not have such powerful fluctuations. The old Saiyan dragon and the others looked at each other. If they didn't know Lu Qing was in there undergoing seclusion, they might suspect that some apex primordial spirit had snuck in without them noticing. "What do you think?" the old Saiyan dragon suddenly asked. "What else is there to think about? We'll wait for Qing to finish his tribulation and come out, then see what's happening." Ming Feng's tone remained calm, but the black bull and the old Saiyan dragon, familiar with it, noticed its tail feathers quivering slightly, indicating that the usually cold ice phoenix's heart was anything but calm at this moment. "Yes, we can only wait for Qing to come out before speaking." The old Saiyan dragon also sighed. The 3 mutant beasts continued waiting outside, and after another half a day, they finally sensed that the celestial might inside the Spirit Void Peak's cave mansion was also beginning to dissipate. Finally, the primordial Spirit 5 tribulations is complete. In the cave mansion of Spirit Void Peak, Lu Qing felt the gradually dissipating awe of the heavenly might, his heart filled with joy. At this moment, his body had undergone earth-shattering changes. Whether in mana, physical body, or primordial spirit, everything had explosively increased. Especially the enhancement of the primordial spirit, allowing Lu Qing to easily extend his primordial spirit power into the layers of the deep void around him, sensing the intricate power of laws within the endless void. So it is, only when the primordial spirit reaches the 5 tribulations realm and receives the baptism of the power of the great path, can one so clearly sense the numerous laws within the endless void. A realization arose in Lu Qing's heart. Regarding the power of laws, he was actually not unfamiliar. When he was cultivating divine skills, he had entered that vast sea of laws to comprehend. But at that time, he relied on the divine power seed within his body to perceive, only able to comprehend the laws corresponding to the divine power seed. But now it was different. His realm had reached, and he could enter the sea of laws with just his own primordial spirit, comprehending any laws he wanted to. After the 5 tribulations, cultivation is no longer just an increase in mana. It already begins to comprehend laws, attempt to control them, integrate the power of laws into oneself, allowing one's power to undergo a fundamental transformation. Lu Qing sensed the changes after the breakthrough. Many uncertainties in cultivation suddenly became clear. Cultivation is like this, no matter how clearly explained the cultivation technique books are. If the realm is not reached, it's still difficult to truly understand the inner meaning. Even with a solid foundation like Lu Qing, still possessing superpowers during lower realms, he still found it difficult to deduce the technique after the 5 tribulations of the $1 Million Divine Skill. But now, after officially entering the 5 tribulations realm and sensing the complex laws reflected on his primordial spirit, Lu Qing also had a hint of direction for the 6 tribulations technique. The main focus of the next stage of cultivation is to comprehend laws and deduce the subsequent techniques of the perfect primordial spirit skill. With a bright path in cultivation ahead, Lu Qing was in great spirits. However, he did not continue cultivating but opened his eyes. After all, having just completed the tribulation, His heart and spirit were still quite exhausted, requiring a period of rest. The way of cultivation requires regulation and relaxation. Ah Ching, are you already at the primordial spirit 5 tribulations? Seeing Lu Qing awake, little Li immediately ran over to ask. Lu Qing nodded. The little guy's eyes widened. Ah Qing, your cultivation speed is too fast. Lu Qing rubbed the little one's head. My cultivation is different from others. As long as the resources are sufficient, cultivation will be relatively fast. But it's still too fast. I can't help you at all now, little Li said with some frustration. It had also made considerable progress this time, successfully advancing to the Golden Core 7th transition. But compared to Lu Qing's current strength, it was still too insignificant. How could that be? Weren't you always acting as my protector? Lu Qing laughed. Seeing little Li still a bit dejected, Lu Qing was about to say something to comfort him when suddenly, the voice of the old Saiyan dragon came from outside. How did the 3 seniors know that I had left seclusion? Lu Qing thought to himself. Then he carried little Li and opened the cave mansion's array, walking out. Outside the cave mansion, the 3 were waiting. Seeing Lu Qing come out holding a strange little beast at the Golden Core realm, they were slightly surprised. They hadn't seen this little beast before. Greetings, seniors. Lu Qing bowed to the old Saiyan dragon and the others, little Li imitating him. However, little Li felt somewhat uneasy inside. Though the 3 seniors showed no imposing aura, its natural intuition told it that each was brimming with a dangerous aura. Perhaps just a thought from them could annihilate it. Ah Qing, who is this little one in your arms? The old Saiyan dragon looked at little Li kindly. This is my companion who I grew up with, accidentally entering the secret realm with me. For its safety, I kept it within a spiritual artifact and did not inform you 3 seniors. I ask for your forgiveness, Lu Qing said with an apologetic expression. Companion. Upon hearing Lu Qing's term, the expressions of the 3 mutant beasts shifted slightly. Their eyes fell on little Li, discovering indeed no sign of divine soul enslavement within it. Feeling the gaze of the 3 mighty figures, little Li shivered slightly, involuntarily snuggling closer to Lu Qing. Seeing little Li's timid appearance, the old Saiyan dragon and the others were slightly embarrassed, not expecting the little one to be so timid. However, their gazes toward Lu Qing became even softer. To treat one's spiritual beast so equally, this was rare among human clan cultivators. Is it little Li? Don't be afraid. You are Ah Qing's companion. We won't harm you. The black bull looked at the tiny little Li, scratching its head. Ming Feng cast a glance at the clumsy one, thinking the words might scare little Li more. Feeling the gentle gaze of the 3 mutant beasts, Lu Qing also relaxed substantially. The reason he brought little Li out naturally had considerations of his own. From little Li's prior emotions, Lu Qing understood that little Li now yearned for greater strength. He had superpowers, but as for cultivating spiritual beasts, he actually did not have a good method. After all, he was still a human clan cultivator. But the 3 mutant beasts before him were different. They were powerful beings above the primordial spirit, surely capable of guiding little Li on a more suitable path of cultivation. And through his contact during this period and investigation through his superpowers, Lu Qing had come to understand. These 3 mutant beasts truly bore no malice towards him. They genuinely wanted him to join the Immortal Palace. Only then did he feel at ease bringing little Li out. Thinking of this, Lu Qing spoke directly. To be frank with the 3 seniors, I brought little Li out to inquire if within our Immortal Palace, there are suitable cultivation techniques or resources for it. Little Li has accompanied me for years, yet I have never provided it with the best cultivation conditions. I truly feel guilty. Upon hearing Lu Qing's words, little Li finally understood why Lu Qing had brought it out. A suitable cultivation technique for this little one? The gaze of the 3 mutant beasts once again fell on little Li. Indeed, little Li has excellent innate talent, having condensed a flawless innate upper-grade demon core, and it also possesses spatial innate divine abilities, only lacking suitable secret techniques to truly unleash its power. What did you say? Little Li possesses spatial divine skills? Before Lu Qing had finished, the old Saiyan dragon couldn't help interrupting, eyes widening. And both the Black Bull and Ming Feng showed surprise. Yes, Lu Qing nodded. Instantly, the gaze of the old Saiyan dragon on Little Li lit up. Little one, do you understand space-related divine skills? Old Saiyan dragon stared at Little Li with bright eyes. Being watched by such a powerful presence, Little Li trembled. However, after Lu Qing gently reassured him, Little Li suddenly felt calm. Facing old Saiyan dragon's gaze, he nodded vigorously. Yes, I know a space talent divine power. Can you demonstrate it here? Let the old me have a look? Little Li looked at Lu Qing, who gave him an encouraging look. The little one thought for a moment and jumped out of Lu Qing's arms. Then, the divine power surged within him, causing the surrounding space to fluctuate. Finally, in front of old Saiyan dragon, Little Li slowly vanished into the space, disappearing from everyone's sight. This scene made old Saiyan dragon's eyes shine even brighter. After more than 10 breaths, Little Li's figure slowly reappeared, and his aura became a bit weak. This is the best I can do. The space here is too stable. It's hard for me to break through, Little Li said, somewhat embarrassed. Little did he know his performance had already amazed the 3 mutant beasts, especially old Saiyan dragon, who was so excited that even his tail trembled a bit. He quickly said, "Not bad, not bad. Your performance is already excellent." The Black Bull and Ming Feng understood why he was so excited. It's well known that the space within the Immortal Palace is extremely stable. Even a cultivator at the Primordial Spirit 9 Tribulations realm finds it challenging to affect it significantly. Yet, Little Li managed to use his talent divine power to forcibly break through the space and enter another space layer. Although the space layer broken into was shallow and the stay was brief, it was enough to demonstrate Little Li's extraordinary space divine ability. Not to mention, his standing in the space avenue is likely significant. The Azure Dragon clan is particularly skilled in using the Space Dao. Even the Space Authority within the Immortal Palace is primarily managed by them. But from ancient times, old Saiyan Dragon's clan has been reduced to just him, with no kinsman to inherit their space secret techniques. Seeing a junior mutant beast like Little Li, who possesses space divine skills, naturally piqued his interest. Ah Qing, you mentioned earlier wanting to find suitable cultivation techniques for Little Li? Old Saiyan Dragon suddenly turned to Lu Qing. It's not necessarily about cultivation techniques. Lu Qing considered and said, I wish to find a suitable cultivation path for Little Li. Do you 3 seniors have any suggestions? Ah Qing, if you trust the old me, why not leave Little Li to me for a while? I happen to have some insights into cultivation along the Space Dao. Old Saiyan Dragon suggested to Lu Qing. The Black Bull also chimed in. That's right, Ah Qing. Among the 3 of us, Old Saiyan Dragon is likely the most suitable to teach Little Li. His clan is naturally close to the Space Avenue and is extremely skilled in using the Space Dao. Though Ming Feng didn't speak, he nodded slightly in agreement with the statement. And that's precisely what Lu Qing had been waiting for. He immediately nodded. That would be wonderful. It would be a fortune for Little Li to receive guidance from the senior. Only at this moment did Little Li realize that Ah Qing had brought him out to seek an opportunity for him. Immediately, he gratefully raised his paw to thank old Saiyan Dragon. Thank you, Grandpa Azure Dragon. Good, good. Seeing Little Li's obedient demeanor, old Saiyan Dragon's face displayed great joy. In the coming days, I entrust Little Li to Elder Azure Dragon. Lu Qing respectfully saluted. No need for such formality. If Little Li can indeed inherit my clan's secret techniques, it is I who should thank you. Old Saiyan Dragon smiled broadly. The Black Bull and Ming Feng, meanwhile, felt a bit envious. Their clans also became extinct tens of thousands of years ago, and they hadn't been fortunate enough to find suitable heirs. By the way, Ah Qing, your recent seclusion has been incredibly fruitful. You've broken through to the Primordial Spirit 5 Tribulations so quickly. After a while, as old Cyan Dragon calmed down, he recalled their purpose for coming. The gazes of Black Bull and Mingfeng also focused on Lu Qing. At their level, they easily discerned that Lu Qing's realm is indeed the primordial spirit 5 tribulations, and not the previously disguised aura. It's thanks to the elixir bestowed by the senior. My cultivation is quite unique. In the past, limited by elixir resources, my realm remained low. With those elixirs' assistance, I could make a rapid breakthrough. Lu Qing explained. With elixirs, one can quickly break through? Hearing this, the 3 mutant beasts exchanged glances, showing concern rather than joy. Old Cyan Dragon hinted, Ah Qing, while elixirs are beneficial, excessive reliance can lead to an unstable foundation, affecting future cultivation paths. Your path should aim for the Unity Realm stage or even the Transformation Realm, not just the limited Primordial Spirit Realm. They mistakenly believed Lu Qing's rapid breakthrough was due to excessive elixir consumption. Lu Qing understood the implication in Old Cyan Dragon's words and replied earnestly, Thank you, Senior, for the reminder. I will be mindful. Seeing Lu Qing accept the advice humbly, Old Cyan Dragon and the others felt reassured. After all, Lu Qing was the most outstanding individual they've encountered in hundreds of thousands of years. They hoped he wouldn't ruin his path due to impatience and the pursuit of quick success. However, Lu Qing's next words left them stunned once more. But, Elder, the elixirs you gave earlier have almost been consumed by this junior. Are there any more? I can exchange treasures for them. What did you say? The elixirs we gave you earlier, you've refined them all. The 3 elders were taken aback upon hearing this. Their first reaction was that it was impossible. One must know, the elixirs they provided were such that even a peerless genius at the 9 tribulations primordial spirit level couldn't completely refine them in such a short time. Let alone other things, just the accumulated pill poison alone is not something a mere primordial spirit realm can endure. Given Lu Qing is merely a 4th tribulation primordial spirit, it's even more improbable for him to remain unharmed, let alone break through. Not completely refined, but there's not much left. Lu Qing felt somewhat embarrassed. His cultivation requires an unbelievably large amount of resources. However, the effect of the elixirs provided by Old Cyan Dragon was indeed excellent. Hence he thought of exchanging treasures for more elixirs. After all, he still had many spiritual artifacts seized from the heavenly origin great world, which he seldom uses, so exchanging them for cultivation resources seemed worthwhile. The 3 elders fell silent, unsure of what to say, only staring at Lu Qing fixedly. Seeing the frankness on Lu Qing's face, they finally confirmed that he wasn't joking. After a moment of silence, Old Cyan Dragon spoke. How did you withstand the massive pill poison from all those elixirs? More importantly, after refining so many elixirs, Lu Qing merely broke through from the 4th tribulation primordial spirit to the 5th tribulation. I mentioned earlier, my cultivation is rather unique, my physique somewhat special, so for me, pill poison isn't harmful, but rather a great supplement. Lu Qing was not lying. Having honed the undying heavenly witch body, his physical body now bears some traits of powerful tribulation beasts, capable of devouring various exotic energies and converting them into his own strength. Though pill poison is formidable, for him it's merely another form of energy, not harmful but enhancing instead. Yet, Lu Qing's response left Old Cyan Dragon and the others silent again. A physique regarding pill poison as nourishment is something they've perhaps seen in certain fabled mutant beasts. But they've never heard of a human cultivator possessing such capability. Looking at Lu Qing, who only had 5th tribulation primordial spirit strength, the 3 powerful mutant beasts suddenly realized they couldn't quite see through him. Meanwhile, the Black Bull recalled the scene where Lu Qing forced out his essence blood to be tested by the calming mirror. It had felt before that Lu Qing's chi blood was rather extraordinary. Could it be that Lu Qing harbors some peculiar physique within? However, the Black Bull held back this suspicion. Every cultivator harbors their secrets. Since Lu Qing didn't mention, probing might provoke his resentment. Finally, having found such a peerless genius disciple for its master, It certainly didn't wish for any estrangement due to such matters. I didn't expect you, Ah Qing, to possess such an unusual physique. It's indeed rare. Old Cyan Dragon also considered this issue, thus refrained from probing deeper and merely sighed. However, wanting more elixirs might not be possible. Back when our master hurriedly departed, he left behind very little arrangement and took most resources from the Immortal Palace. The elixirs I gave you earlier were nearly all the reserves. There are still some elixirs for the Unity Realm stage, but very few for the Primordial Spirit Realm. Upon saying this, Old Cyan Dragon showed a hint of awkwardness. After all, the Primordial Spirit Realm elixirs were originally not widely used in the Immortal Palace, mostly bestowed to some outer disciples and servant workers, while the Master's direct disciples used Unity Realm resources. Lu Qing was a bit taken aback. He caught the meaning in Old Cyan Dragon's words. Indeed, there are resources in the Immortal Palace, but mostly usable by those at and above the Unity Realm. Suitable for Primordial Spirit Realm, they're scarce. Simply put, his realm is too low. Even with resources present, he can't utilize them for now. Seeing Lu Qing's expression, Old Cyan Dragon also felt a bit embarrassed. Earlier, they were discussing how to cultivate Lu Qing. Unexpectedly, supplying elixirs for just the Primordial Spirit Realm cultivation already posed a difficulty. However, thinking back, who could have anticipated Lu Qing's cultivation requires consuming such an excessive amount of elixirs? Reasonably speaking, the elixirs Old Cyan Dragon previously provided were enough even for a peerless genius to cultivate from the Primordial Spirit Initial Realm to the late-stage Primordial Spirit. Yet, so many elixirs merely enabled Lu Qing to break through from 4th Tribulation to 5th Tribulation Primordial Spirit. The vast medicinal power, how had he absorbed it, or was most of it wasted? If it were the latter, then that would be problematic, signifying Lu Qing's aptitude in cultivation might not be as exceptional as they had imagined. I see. It seems I've been a bit rash. Lu Qing snapped out of it smilingly, though somewhat disappointed, not truly disheartened. To him, lacking cultivation resources is the norm, something he's accustomed to. Moreover, without elixirs, having the assistance of spiritual energy within the Spirit Void Peak Cave Mansion ensures his cultivation won't slow vastly. The only impact is not advancing as explosively as during recent times. Upon adjusting his mindset, Lu Qing inquired about another matter. By the way, Elder, during my seclusion these past 2 to 3 years, has anything happened within the secret realm? Not much of significance occurred, just those cultivators entering the trials attempting challenges. Old Cyan Dragon casually replied. Ah Qing, do you have some past ties with those outside cultivators? Black Bull asked. Past ties are not quite accurate, just some entanglements with certain cultivators upon first entering. Lu Qing chuckled. The elders suddenly understood. Lu Qing's words indicated some grudges with certain individuals outside the realm. Knowing well the temperament of those outside cultivators, Lu Qing entering the secret realm alone would undoubtedly attract others' covetousness. Imagining the initial happenings when they hadn't yet awoken, something must have transpired. As for those cultivators attempting challenges, the fastest among them are still stuck at the 6th stage, far inferior to you, Ah Qing, Old Cyan Dragon commented. Are the fastest still at the 6th stage? That was somewhat unexpected for Lu Qing. He had been in seclusion within the Spirit Void Peak for 2 to 3 years, yet those cultivators only reached the 6th stage. It's noteworthy that among those outside are several peak powers famed true disciples at the Primordial Spirit 8 Tribulations level. May I ask, Elder, of those cultivators, a sword cultivator named Yu Jian, and another named Mo Tushan, what stage have they reached respectively? Both are at the 6th stage. Understanding Lu Qing specifically mentioning these two implies it's related to the entanglements mentioned moments ago. Thoughtful, Old Cyan Dragon continued, however, this sword cultivator named Yu Jian was ambushed by that cultivator named Mo Tushan at the 5th stage, receiving considerable injuries. Though he barely recovered later, his progress was greatly slowed, thus falling behind somewhat. Yu Jian was ambushed by Mo Tushan? Moreover, were they in the same array channel enabling battle? Lu Qing was astonished. On the array channel he traversed, when trapped, combating was barred, even mutual communication was prohibited. Each array channel's circumstances differ slightly. Some enable communication, whilst certain junction checkpoints allow crossing between channels. During your challenges before at the 5th, 7th, and 9th checkpoints, didn't you notice transmission arrays below? Hearing this, Lu Qing recalled there was indeed such a thing. Back then his focus solely lay on downloading and comprehending array legacies, not paying much heed. Now realizing what those transmission arrays meant. Thus his eyes brightened. Lu Qing originally wondered how to settle accounts with Mo Tushan. Now, hearing what old Azure Dragon said, he had an idea. "Ah Qing, do you want to leave?" Old Azure Dragon, having lived for hundreds of thousands of years, had seen everything. It immediately saw through Lu Qing's thoughts. "I have a bit of a grudge with that Mo Tushan, and would like to find an opportunity to settle it." Lu Qing openly stated his intentions without hiding. That Mo Tushan is at the perfect primordial spirit 8th tribulation and holds several powerful demon treasures, making him difficult to deal with. Moreover, the three of us have orders from our master to not attack cultivators entering the secret realm with tokens, so we can't help you out. Old Azure Dragon frowned slightly. Although it acknowledged Lu Qing's unparalleled talent in arrays, he was currently only at the primordial spirit 5 tribulations, far from being a match for the 8 tribulations primordial spirit. Unless he had enough time to set up a big array, inviting the opponent in, he stood a slight chance. However, that Mo Tushan was shrewd and would not likely give Lu Qing such an opportunity. The Black Bull and Ming Feng shared the same thoughts. They had been observing the cultivators going through trials during this time, so they were very aware. Among all who entered the secret realm this time, the cultivator known as Mo Tushan ranked at the forefront. Not only was he ruthless and cunning, but also powerful. Even in the star-studded ancient era, he would be considered a distinguished figure. Though Lu Qing's talent was superior, his realm was ultimately too low, making a direct confrontation impossible. "I'm certainly not going out to cause trouble for him just yet," Lu Qing said with a smile. "I just had a breakthrough and need time to stabilize my cultivation before looking for an opportunity." He did not consider asking these three to make a move to regain his ground. It's not worth such a big fuss over Mo Tushan. Even with his current strength, he had considerable confidence. Of course, he did not say this directly. He could see that the 3 mutant beast elders still lacked confidence in him. This is understandable. The gap between a 5 tribulations primordial spirit and an 8 tribulations primordial spirit is significant. No one would think they could battle each other, so he didn't explain much. Actions speak louder than words. When he truly defeats Mo Tushan, all doubts will naturally vanish into thin air. However, Lu Qing wasn't planning to seek out Mo Tushan right away. Instead, he intended to settle for a while. Now that he had just stepped into the 5 tribulations realm, his primordial spirit power had surged, allowing him to sense the sea of laws. It was precisely the time to comprehend the laws and continue his rapid progression in strength. Once he fully digests this breakthrough, then it wouldn't be too late to cause trouble for Mo Tushan. According to the progress of those breaking through the trial paths outside, it would likely still take a considerable amount of time in the tests. Indeed, with your talent, exceeding Mo Tushan is inevitable with more cultivation. There's no need to rashly put yourself in danger over a moment of anger. Hearing Lu Qing's plan, old Azure Dragon nodded slightly, believing Lu Qing had a grasp of the situation and wasn't acting recklessly. "Then I'll leave Little Li temporarily in Elder Azure Dragon's care. I will retreat for a while to consolidate my cultivation," Lu Qing said with a bow. "Go ahead. You just had a breakthrough and should stabilize your cultivation first." Lu Qing patted Little Li's head again. "Little Li, learn diligently from Elder Azure Dragon. Be obedient. Okay? Even though Little Li didn't want to part with Lu Qing, it understood that this opportunity was hard-won by Ah Qing and couldn't be wasted. Besides, thinking about Ah Qing's increasingly rapid cultivation speed over the years, its heart was also resolved. No matter what, It must seize this opportunity to enhance its strength. At least, in the future, it should be able to help Ah Ching instead of just hiding in the leaving fire tripod every time. After entrusting little Li to the care of old Azure Dragon, Lu Qing returned to the Spirit Void Peaks cave mansion. If possible, he naturally wouldn't want to be separated from little Li. Although his superpower probing showed that the three mutant beasts truly bore no ill will and genuinely wanted Lu Qing to become a disciple of the Immortal Palace, entrusting little Li to them was still somewhat a risky action. What truly made him decide was little Li's earlier display of disappointment. He could feel little Li's thirst for strength. Since that was the case, he sought to obtain an opportunity for it. After a moment of silence, Lu Qing calmed his mind and prepared to continue cultivating. Concentrating, he used his heart and spirit to sense the void. Soon, Lu Qing sensed that complex myriad of laws in the Sea of Laws. This time, unlike when he sensed through the Divine Power Seed, he found a more comprehensive and clear perception of the Sea of Laws through his primordial spirit sense. After contemplating for a while, enlightenment gradually dawned on him. So that's how it is. In the Sea of Laws, countless laws intertwine and coexist, traversed by various avenues, impossible to fully comprehend. Among them, the Space Avenue is the most vast and inscrutable. Even its true form does not manifest, unable to be perceived. Yet the laws derived from the Space Avenue are omnipresent, making them detectable even by an ordinary Five Tribulations primordial spirit. No wonder upon reaching the primordial spirit Five Tribulations, cultivating spatial power is basically the first step. Indeed, the space law is one of the easiest laws to sense within the Sea of Laws. As the saying goes, once reaching a certain realm, one can truly understand that level of cultivation. After Lu Qing broke through to the primordial spirit Five Tribulations, just a slight realization resolved many cultivation doubts that had once lingered in his mind. For instance, why is it that those with great power in the primordial spirit Five Tribulations often comprehend the power of space first? It is because the space law is complex, one of the most perceivable laws in the Sea of Laws. For example, the law of space shifting is one of the more manageable among numerous space laws. However, the space law is also famously easy to learn but difficult to master. Grasping some superficial space laws is easy, but to advance further and understand the essence of space, to perceive the true space avenue, that difficulty would increase 1,000-fold, or even 10,000-fold. Unless you are a true favorite of space, endowed with unimaginable space talent. Even if you exhaust your life, it would be challenging to truly glimpse the true form of the space avenue. Therefore, the vast majority of those in the primordial spirit realm above the Five Tribulations, after mastering some superficial space laws, turn to comprehend other Taoist laws more suitable for them. And with continuous comprehension of the Taoist laws, gradually understanding more Taoist laws, when the primordial spirit can genuinely observe the full picture of a certain avenue. Finally, the heart and Tao are in harmony, able to merge one's heart and spirit into the Tao, drawing a trace of the power of the Great Path for personal use. That stage is called the Unity Realm stage. After undergoing multiple transformations, Lu Qing's cultivation talent has indeed become extremely powerful. Coupled with the help of his superpower, his comprehension has reached an incredible level. Upon stepping into the primordial spirit Five Tribulations just during his first cultivation, he understood the cultivation path after the Five Tribulations and how to proceed. He even had a hint of understanding regarding the Unity Realm stage. Comprehending Taoist laws suitable for oneself. Then which avenues are the most compatible with me? Lu Qing began to ponder. For the time being, the Space Avenue need not be considered, as he currently does not possess space divine ability, and it is also difficult to sense the location of this avenue. However, there are actually quite a few avenues that he feels close to now. Firstly, due to the two divine skills, Great Strength and Mistaken, he has a natural affinity for the Power Tao and Illusion path. Secondly, ever since his postnatal realm, he has been cultivating in the Five Elements cultivation. So his affinity for the Five Elements path is also extremely strong. As for other avenues, such as the Sword Tao, Knife Tao, and Array Tao, due to various secret techniques of cultivation, they are also quite clear. However, comparatively, the five elements path still holds the greatest appeal to him. Therefore, his next path of cultivation is relatively clear. Based on my perception of the various avenues, the five elements path is the most compatible with me. Then the subsequent technique of the perfect primordial spirit method has a direction. Various insights arose in Lu Qing's heart, and he immediately understood which direction to take for his perfect primordial spirit method. That is to take the laws of the five elements path as the foundation and other Taoist laws as supplements. Only by advancing together with various Taoist laws can his cultivation be pushed to a more terrifying level. With inspiration in mind, Lu Qing did not hesitate and began to deduce the subsequent techniques of the perfect primordial spirit method with the help of his superpower. Suddenly, countless realizations flickered in Lu Qing's mind. While comprehending the various laws in the Sea of Laws, he also continued to deduce and perfect the techniques beyond the fifth tribulation of the perfect primordial spirit method. Time flew, and soon another 2 years passed. On this day, Lu Qing opened his eyes, seeming to have rivers of stars flowing within them, as if countless Taoist laws were flickering. But soon, these visions disappeared, and Lu Qing's eyes returned to normal. Finally, I have constructed the framework for the techniques of the following tribulations. Lu Qing's eyes showed a sigh. During these 2 years, his primordial spirit had been immersed in the Sea of Laws, perceiving those vast Taoist laws. Through continuous verification and deduction, he finally deduced the sixth tribulation of the perfect primordial spirit method fully and built the framework for the following 3 tribulations. Of course, it was only a framework. The complete technique still requires him to spend a great deal of effort to slowly supplement and perfect it. However, this creation of a technique granted Lu Qing enormous gains. Not only did he gain a very deep understanding of the various Taoist laws he is compatible with, even his cultivation also moved further, thoroughly stabilizing the 5 tribulations realm. More importantly is still, Lu Qing extended a palm. As his mind moved, a slight distortion appeared on his palm, and a subtle space vortex suddenly emerged. The power of space distortion finally mastered it. A smile appeared on Lu Qing's face. During these 2 years of deep comprehension, he also conveniently mastered some relatively superficial space laws. He even comprehended the space-shifting technique, this secret technique. In the future, if he wants to perform space shifting and traversal, he doesn't need to rely on a teleportation talisman anymore. He can do it himself. Of course, within the Immortal Palace, he is still unable to traverse the void on his own. After all, the space here is too stable. With his ability, being able to slightly distort the space is already the limit. But mastering the power of space is still very significant for Lu Qing. This helped to further smooth out the gap between him and the top-tier primordial spirits. After all, through the realization of the law, he has already understood many things. For instance, due to the special nature of the space avenue, even top-tier primordial spirits may not have deeper comprehension in space laws than those of lower realms. And now that Lu Qing can distort the space within the Immortal Palace, even if just slightly, he is actually stronger than many top-tier primordial spirits. The reason he could master the power of space to this extent so quickly is thanks to his experience in crafting teleportation talismans and the exotic treasure with Tao artifact essence, the Void Ship. Especially the Void Ship, this exotic treasure has taken Lu Qing through deep layers of the void multiple times. This granted him a profound understanding of the essence of space. It greatly aided his comprehension of the space law as well. Unfortunately, even with all that, I still cannot sense the location of the space avenue, truly one of the most mysterious avenues. Lu Qing couldn't help but sigh. The space avenue is everywhere, yet unlike other avenues, it cannot be directly sensed. Even if he has mastered some space laws to a profound degree, it is still difficult to genuinely sense the essence of this avenue. When there is time in the future, I should seek advice from Elder Azure Dragon. From previous conversations, Lu Qing knew that the Azure Dragon clan is highly skilled in the space Tao. Perhaps he can seek advice from this great power of harmony in the future. After his emotions calmed for a moment, Lu Qing then settled his mind. Now that the framework for several tribulations beyond the perfect primordial spirit method has been constructed, what remains are some meticulous details to be perfected over time, which is not urgent for the moment. On the contrary, over these 2 years, his cultivation hasn't stagnated, but the growth wasn't significant either, so it's time for some proper cultivation. Thinking of this, Lu Qing scattered a pile of middle-grade spirit stones, letting them fall to the ground to form a large spirit-gathering array. Simultaneously, he took out the remaining bit of elixirs that Elder Azure Dragon had given him in the past and consumed them all. The spiritual energy in Spirit Void Peak was abundant, but the cultivation he was about to undertake was also extraordinarily significant. Therefore, the denser the spiritual charm, the better. With everything arranged and ready, Lu Qing closed his eyes and started to cultivate again. As the cultivation technique operated, a terrifying suction emerged from within him, rapidly devouring the incredibly dense spiritual energy in the cave mansion. His cultivation also commenced a new round of skyrocketing growth. Thus, another year passed. When Lu Qing awoke from his cultivation again, he found that the spiritual energy in the cave mansion had become quite thin. Apparently, even such a high-grade immortal mountain cave mansion couldn't completely withstand the consumption of his cultivation. However, the resulting gains were incredibly fruitful. 5 tribulations great success at my current self, I should be capable of tackling that Mo Tushan, right? Lu Qing lightly murmured to himself, feeling the surging power within him. This round of cultivation for Lu Qing was not just about the increase in mana. Starting to understand the laws, he has now grasped a thread of the 5 elements path. He also gained considerable insight into other paths like the Power Dao, Illusion Path, and Sword Dao. His strength can be said to have increased in all aspects dramatically, to the point where even he himself finds it hard to estimate at what level his strength currently lies. But judging from the brief encounter with Mo Tushan before, he should be able to face him head-on now. I wonder how far the other cultivators have reached? However, Lu Qing guessed that no one has passed through yet. This time, he spent over 3 years in secluded cultivation. Given Mo Tushan and their several years to reach the 6th stage, it's uncertain whether they've reached the 7th stage now. After all, from Lu Qing's experience in the Array Channel, the difficulty of the later stages increases exponentially. The time limits for clearing each stage have also been greatly extended. Others are not like him, having the assistance of superpowers, so their clearance speed shouldn't be so fast. Let's go check the situation first. With a thought, Lu Qing's figure disappeared from the cave mansion. When he reappeared, he was outside the Immortal Palace, precisely at the space vortex leading to the test channels. This is indeed the ability of the Guisu token. Lu Qing refined this jade token, became a disciple of the Guisu Taoist, and was acknowledged by the Immortal Palace. He could use the token to freely enter and exit the Immortal Palace. However, he could only enter and exit the Immortal Palace and couldn't move himself directly into the testing channels. Over the years, the 8 spatial vortexes remained the same, just quietly rotating there. The area was empty, obviously because all those in the primordial spirit realm were going through the tests inside. What? Just as Lu Qing used the Guisu token to leave the Immortal Palace, the old Cyan Dragon, who controlled the space of the Immortal Palace, sensed it. Old Cyan Dragon, what's happened? Did another cultivator clear a stage? The Black Bull asked. Ming Feng also turned its gaze. At this time, the 3 mutant beasts were inside a peculiar stone room. In the center was a space maze, with little Li's figure faintly visible inside, seemingly undergoing some test. It's Ah Qing, who, for some reason, left Spirit Void Peak and went outside the Immortal Palace. The old Cyan Dragon waved its claw, and a light screen appeared, showing the location of Lu Qing. He's really gone out. The Black Bull and Ming Feng looked equally surprised, because they saw Lu Qing's position actually at the entrance of the testing channels. What does Ah Qing intend to do? Take on the Array Channel again? The Black Bull wondered. It might not be that simple. The old Cyan Dragon shook its head. It recalled what Lu Qing said before his seclusion and felt something was off. Could it be he's going to look for trouble with Mo Tushan? If that's the case, it would be too reckless. Did you notice? Ah Qing's cultivation seems to have advanced quite a bit, Ming Feng suddenly said. The old Cyan Dragon and Black Bull were startled, then sensed Lu Qing's aura. Both were astonished. Indeed, he's already at the level of great success of 5 tribulations. Immediately, the old Cyan Dragon and the others exchanged glances. If remembered correctly, Ah Qing had only been in seclusion for 2 or 3 years, yet he'd already reached great success of 5 tribulations. This speed of cultivation is really exaggerated. Moreover, hadn't he already consumed almost all the elixirs given by the old Cyan Dragon? How did he make such progress? Perplexed, the old Cyan Dragon and the others didn't stop Lu Qing but decided to observe and see what he intended to do. So, which one should he enter? Lu Qing wasn't aware the old Cyan Dragon and others were watching him. Even if he knew, he wouldn't mind much. Standing before the space vortex, he pondered. Having already cleared the array channel once, he could naturally navigate through it smoothly to the 9th stage. However, since he was out, he wanted to experience other test channels this time. Moreover, if he could luckily clear another channel, he would obtain another supreme inheritance. Thinking about it, Lu Qing's gaze finally landed on the vortex entrance of the Sword Dao channel. Then, taking a step forward, his figure vanished into the spatial vortex. He actually entered the Sword Dao channel. Could it be that Ah Qing also has a good talent in the Sword Dao? Seeing Lu Qing's final choice, the old Cyan Dragon and the others were quite surprised. Initially, they thought if Lu Qing wanted to find trouble with Mo Tushan, even if he didn't choose the array channel, he would choose the talisman channel. After all, there's much in common between the ways of arrays and talismans. Even if he didn't choose the talisman channel, choosing the physical body channel would be understandable. Because they could feel that Lu Qing's physical body seemed unusual, with potent blood essence. But they never expected Lu Qing to choose the Sword Dao channel. The old Cyan Dragon, with a thought, caused a space fluctuation, and the next moment, Little Li's figure appeared before them. Grandpa Azure Dragon, what's wrong? Was my performance not good? With a bit of confusion in his eyes, Little Li, seeing the old Cyan Dragon and the others, was startled and spoke timidly. The space labyrinth it was just in was a test set up by the old Cyan Dragon. According to the old Cyan Dragon, as long as it could find its way out, it would mean it had truly entered the path of the Space Dao and had the qualification to inherit the secrets of the Azure Dragon clan. But now, without having solved the labyrinth, it had been moved out by the old Cyan Dragon. It wondered if its performance was so poor that the trial was interrupted. Thinking that this was a hard-won opportunity begged by Ah Qing, but was wasted by itself, Little Li couldn't help but feel dejected. It's not what you think, Little Li dear. It's not that you performed poorly. It's because we have some questions for you, so we stopped the trial. The old Cyan Dragon quickly comforted upon seeing Little Li on the verge of tears. Yes, we just want to ask about some matters concerning Ah Qing, not because you failed the trial. Even the Black Bull and Ming Feng found themselves at a loss. Over the past 2 or 3 years, they had all grown very fond of this little fellow. Seeing it about to cry, they immediately offered comfort. About Ah Qing? Hearing this, the mist in Little Li's eyes receded. What happened to Ah Qing? Seeing the little one not crying, the 3 mutant beasts breathed a sigh of relief. Indeed, it was necessary to bring up Ah Qing. Here's the thing. Ah Qing suddenly left Spirit Void Peak, went outside the Immortal Palace, and entered the Sword Dao trial channel. Do you know what he intends to do? The old Cyan Dragon asked. Ah Qing went to challenge the trial again? Over the past few years, Little Li sometimes watched the trial channel trials with the old Cyan Dragon and others, so it had some understanding of it. It thought for a moment and guessed, Ah Qing might be looking for trouble with that Mo Tushan. Previously, he attacked us several times, and there was an aura about him that Ah Qing really disliked. As expected, the 3 of them, knowing their guess was right, felt a bit anxious inside. Because of their master's past orders, they couldn't interfere with the affairs within the trial channel. In other words, if something happened to Lu Qing in there, they could only watch helplessly, unable to offer any help. How can Ah Qing be so reckless? The old Saiyan dragon sighed. Now we can only hope that Ah Qing's talent is insufficient and won't progress far in the Sword Dao channel. The Black Bull and Ming Feng nodded in agreement. As long as Lu Qing gets stuck in the Sword Dao channel, he won't catch up with Mo Tushan and his group. That way, a confrontation between the two sides would naturally be avoided. Ah Qing's talent in Sword Dao is really impressive. Surprisingly to them, Little Li stated seriously at that moment. No matter which Sword Dao secret technique, it can't stop him. Little Li, what did you say? Ah Qing's talent in Sword Dao is really impressive. Yes, very impressive. Little Li nodded vigorously. The three of their hearts were immediately on edge again, quickly turning their attention to the light screen. Then they were stunned, because they discovered a beam of light was enveloping Lu Qing. They knew what that meant all too well. It was a sign that he had already passed the first stage and was preparing to be transported to the next stage. In just the brief time they spent questioning Little Li, Lu Qing had already conquered the first stage and was about to enter the second. But why so quickly? Their eyes revealed disbelief. They suddenly had a premonition. Were they about to witness another extraordinary performance by Lu Qing, as when he was in the Array channel? Who would have thought this Sword Dao trial is actually simpler than the Array trial? As Lu Qing's figure appeared in the second stage of the Sword Dao channel, he thought to himself. He hadn't expected the Sword Dao trial to be so straightforward. All he needed was to comprehend the sword intent from the trial sword stone and simulate it, leaving a deep enough sword mark on it to pass. Compared to the Array trial channel, where layer upon layer of array formation light screens had to be broken, it was indeed much simpler. Of course, this was also because Lu Qing had a superpower. So-called comprehending and simulating sword intent was not difficult for him at all. Plus, with his abundant Sword Dao accumulation, his speed in passing the trial was even quicker than in the Array channel. Indeed, this Sword Dao trial channel also contains a set of Sword Dao inheritances. Looking at the sword intent emanating from the trial sword stone in front of him, which had a consistent essence with the first stage, Lu Qing knew his assumption was correct. He immediately used his superpower to download the internal inheritance, since he needed to quickly pass the stage to catch up with Mo Tushan and his group's footsteps. This time, Lu Qing didn't rely on his own Sword Dao foundation to comprehend it. He directly used his superpower. Soon, the superpower downloaded and simulated the inheritance from the trial sword stone, and Lu Qing chose to learn it. A moment later, when Lu Qing reopened his eyes, he formed a sword with his fingers and suddenly unleashed a sword chi, striking the trial sword stone in front of him. Poof! A light sound, and a sword mark immediately appeared on the trial sword stone. Its depth was precisely 3 inches, no more, no less. A beam of light appeared, enveloping Lu Qing and transporting him to the third stage. He conquered the second stage in just 15 minutes? In the Immortal Palace, the three of them couldn't help but gasp at the sight of this, because Lu Qing's speed in passing stages in the Sword Dao trial channel was even faster than in the Array channel back then. Could his talent in Sword Dao be even more astonishing than in Array Dao? They couldn't believe it, but they held their breaths, watching the light screen closely, afraid of missing any detail. Swish! Lu Qing's figure, under the light beam's transport, suddenly appeared in the third stage of the Sword Dao channel. This immediately drew the attention of the other cultivators in this stage. There's actually someone in the third stage? Lu Qing was a bit surprised. He hadn't seen any cultivators in the previous 2 stages, but unexpectedly, there were others attempting to conquer this third stage. Although each stage in the trial channel had a time limit. If they were still in the third stage, these cultivators were likely those who failed in other channels and came to try their luck in the Sword Dao channel. It's that 5 tribulations kid. There were not many cultivators in the third stage, and seeing the newcomer was Lu Qing, they were all surprised. They had a deep impression of this 5 tribulations cultivator who had dared to mock and curse Mo Tushan back then. Even though several years had passed, they recognized Lu Qing at a glance. Some, seeing Lu Qing, even widen their eyes. How come he's in the Sword Dao channel again? Wasn't he supposed to be in the Array channel? It was a primordial spirit realm cultivator who had failed in the Array channel and wanted to try their luck in the Sword Dao channel. Looking at Lu Qing with a shocked heart, he remembered Lu Qing's astonishing performance in the Array channel back then. Logically speaking, given his Array formation skills, he should still be passing stages in the Array channel. Why would he come here? Could it be that even he couldn't pass the later stages of the Array channel and failed? Ignoring the gazes of the other cultivators, Lu Qing walked directly to the trial sword stone and prepared to comprehend. However, such a display naturally aroused the dissatisfaction of other powerful figures. Some, recalling the speed Lu Qing demonstrated when mocking Mo Tushan, had a glint in their eyes. Then a palm condensed with mana light reached towards Lu Qing's shoulder. "Kid, don't you understand the concept of first come, first served? How dare you stand before us with a mere 5 tribulations cultivation?" Scram! However, before he could finish, a dazzling sword light suddenly materialized and, with unimaginable speed, slashed towards that primordial spirit realm cultivator. In the next moment, a scream echoed. The arm that was condensing the mana light had already fallen to the ground. And not only that, but under the terrifying erosion of sword intent, that primordial spirit realm cultivator felt as if countless tiny strands of sword chi were traversing through his meridians, causing him to writhe on the ground, wailing in pain. Suddenly, such an unexpected scene shocked all the other cultivators in the third stage. Looking at the primordial spirit realm cultivator screaming miserably on the ground, all the cultivators in the third trial were shocked. The heart and spirit of a primordial spirit realm cultivator is so steadfast, yet he couldn't bear from screaming. It's unimaginable what degree of pain he was experiencing now. More importantly, the primordial spirit realm cultivator who just tried to attack Lu Qing was a 6th tribulation. His realm cultivation was a whole level higher than Lu Qing. Yet, it was only with a single exchange that he had his arms severed, sword chi entered his body, was seriously injured and fell, screaming incessantly. Wasn't this 5 tribulation kid only strong in speed? Why is his true combat power also so strong? At that moment, everyone's gaze towards Lu Qing was filled with dread. That sword light just now was too terrifying. Even they didn't have the slightest confidence to withstand it. Despite heavily injuring a 6th tribulation primordial spirit with one sword, Lu Qing's expression didn't change at all. He didn't even glance at anyone else. Those words spoken just now were inherently unreasonable. There weren't many people in the third trial. The trial swordstone is so large, understanding can be done from any direction, and there's really no such thing as first come, first served. The reason for wanting to attack him was still because of coveting the secrets he possessed. For people with such ill intentions, Lu Qing naturally wouldn't be polite. His gaze fell on the screaming primordial spirit realm cultivator. A few breaths later, the person's information slip appeared in his view. Immediately, his gaze slightly hardened. Coincidentally, at that moment, that primordial spirit realm cultivator finally suppressed the sword chi within his body a little and gained a moment of respite. He stared venomously at Lu Qing. "Kid, do you know who I am? I am annoying." However, before he could finish speaking, Lu Qing flicked with his fingers to release a strand of sword chi that landed on the head of the primordial spirit realm cultivator. Instantly, the eyes of the primordial spirit realm cultivator widened drastically, filled with fear. It seemed he couldn't believe Lu Qing actually dared to strike him down. But all regrets were too late. His primordial spirit under Lu Qing's sword chi was as fragile as foam. With just a breath, it was completely annihilated, and his life force began to fade gradually. Lu Qing lightly picked with his fingers, and the storage bag fell into his hand. Then he summoned an array plate to protect himself, looking towards the trial sword stone in front. All his actions were executed smoothly and, from start to finish, he never looked at anyone else. It was as if what he just killed was not a 6th tribulation primordial spirit, but just a bug crushed effortlessly. But the other primordial spirit realm experts were so shocked at this time that they didn't dare to breathe loudly. A sixth tribulation primordial spirit was just killed so easily right before their eyes. They were not only surprised by Lu Qing's ruthless methods, but also shocked by his formidable strength. Using 5 tribulation cultivation to reverse slay a 6th tribulation primordial spirit, and it was a completely crushing kill. No matter how Lu Qing achieved it, the other primordial spirit realms felt a chill envelop their entire body. No longer did they dare to act rashly, staying cautiously in place, watching Lu Qing comprehend sword intent. And very soon, they witnessed an even more astonishing scene. They saw Lu Qing close his eyes to comprehend sword intent, and after a moment, he opened his eyes. A beam of sword light blossomed from his fingertips, cutting towards the trial sword stone ahead. With a light sound, a sword mark appeared on the trial sword stone. Exactly 3 inches deep, not more, not less. A column of light appeared, enveloping Lu Qing. Lu Qing collected the array plate, and after a few breaths, his figure had disappeared from the 3rd trial. And this scene directly left the other primordial spirits dumbfounded. Did he just break through like that? He spent just a quarter of an hour to break the 3rd trial. What sort of monster is this? Even the sword maniacs of the sky-breaking sword sect don't have such sword Dao talent, right? Don't mention the disciples of the sky-breaking sword sect. I suspect even Yu Jian wouldn't break through as fast as him. Who on earth is this 5 tribulation cultivator? A group of primordial spirit realms began to chatter, no longer maintaining the image of a primordial spirit great power. Among them, the primordial spirit realm who had once seen Lu Qing in the array channel had his mouth wide open, as if he had seen some monster. He first in the array channel, followed by the sword Dao channel, and his speed in breaking through is so fast. What sort of a devil is this? In the immortal palace, there was also a complete silence. This time, Old Cyan Dragon and the others clearly saw how Lu Qing broke through. But it was precisely because of this that they felt more and more incredulous. Whether it was heavily injuring a 6th tribulation primordial spirit with one sword, or breaking through the 3rd trial in a blink. Lu Qing's performance in the sword Dao channel was actually more stunning than in the array channel. Was what Little Li said true, that Lu Qing's talent in sword Dao was even stronger than in array Dao? Thinking of this, the breathing of the 3 old azure dragons couldn't help but become rapid. If this were true, then Lu Qing's talent was simply unimaginable. Prepare, Old Azure Dragon suddenly said. If Ah Qing encounters danger, even if it violates the Master's command, we must intervene and rescue him. The Black Bull and Ming Feng's heart and spirit trembled, but none opposed. Even Ming Feng, who always regarded the Master's words as the rule of heaven, silently agreed with Old Azure Dragon's words, because the value Lu Qing now showed was simply too great. Such an impressively extraordinary disciple, they absolutely couldn't accept him dying in front of them. Even if breaching the Master's rules would result in punishment, they still felt it was worth it. Moreover, they believed that even if their Master were here, he wouldn't blame them. There are fewer people in the 4th level than expected. On the other side, Lu Qing's figure had already appeared in the 4th level of the Sword Dao channel. Unexpectedly, there were only a handful of people in this 4th level, fewer than he had anticipated. When the few in the primordial spirit realm saw Lu Qing appear, they first looked over vigilantly. But upon seeing Lu Qing's appearance, they appeared surprised. They remembered this person. Lu Qing originally didn't want to pay attention to these people. But when he saw one of them wearing a black and white Taoist robe, his gaze suddenly paused. Are you from the Black and White Temple? The other primordial spirit realm individuals turned their gaze toward that person, showing strange expressions in their eyes. They all knew that the people from the Black and White Temple didn't get along with this 5 tribulations cultivator. After all, Mo Tushan had been toyed with by Lu Qing, and the Black and White Temple had also been ridiculed for quite some time. The Black and White Temple disciple sneered. Kid, I've searched high and low, only to find you here. Let's see where you run this time. This Black and White Temple disciple was overjoyed. He never expected to encounter Lu Qing in the Sword Dao channel. A few years prior, he had followed Brother Tushan into the physical body trial channel, but his talent was insufficient. He only made it to the 5th level before being kicked out. This time, he thought he'd try the Sword Dao channel, where he was more skilled, to see if there were any gains. Unexpectedly, he saw Lu Qing here. As long as I capture this kid and present him to Brother Tu Shan, it would be a great achievement. This black and white temple disciple's eyes were filled with excitement. He had a cultivation level of 6 tribulations perfection, just a step away from the 7th tribulation of the primordial spirit, his strength entirely surpassing Lu Qing. The space in this 4th level of the Sword Dao channel wasn't large, greatly limiting Lu Qing's strange speed. This meant that this time, the 5 tribulations kid would have nowhere to escape. All these thoughts flashed through his mind, and the black and white temple disciple didn't hesitate. He directly activated a black bone treasure to strike at Lu Qing. But just as his treasure moved and hadn't even traveled halfway, his eyes were filled with dazzling radiance. A dazzling sword light had already reached first, slashing before him, sweeping across his body. Immediately, the black and white temple disciple's body trembled. His primordial spirit vanished, his life force quickly dissipating. A line of blood appeared on his forehead, quickly extending downward. His entire person fell backward, splitting into 2, exuding a strong bloody scent. Even the black bone treasure at the spiritual artifact level emitted a shrill scream, then broke into 2 pieces. It was that this black and white temple disciple, with a 6 tribulations perfection cultivation, under Lu Qing's domineering sword chi, was killed with his treasure in 1 sword strike. His form and spirit both destroyed, completely fallen. What? Seeing this scene, the other primordial spirit cultivators were shaken to their core, nearly jumping in place from fright. Lu Qing's sword was too terrifying. A 6 tribulations perfection black and white temple disciple was unable to withstand even an instant, killed by a single sword. The frightful murderous intent from that sword was like sitting in an ice cellar, nearly freezing their primordial spirits. After killing that black and white temple disciple, Lu Qing still ignored the others. After taking the storage magical treasure from that person, he went straight to the trial sword stone, unleashed an array plate and began comprehending the sword intent on it. The other primordial spirit experts, although the weakest among them had a 6 tribulations initial realm cultivation. Yet at this moment, none dared move, all sitting obediently, afraid that even the slightest movement would bring Lu Qing's terrifying sword. Fortunately, this feeling like thorns on their backs didn't last long. In a moment, Lu Qing, who had been comprehending the sword intent with closed eyes, suddenly opened them and slashed out a sword chi. The sword chi fell upon the trial sword stone, carving a 3-inch sword mark, and a light pillar appeared, enveloping him. A few breaths later, as Lu Qing's figure vanished, the other primordial spirits finally breathed a sigh of relief. That fiend has finally left. How could this person be so powerful? With such strength, why did he run from Mo Tushan? No. His speed at clearing the level. It only took a quarter of an hour? With the last exclamation, the other primordial spirits paused in realization before their eyes widened again. Once again, only a quarter of an hour to clear the level, and even a 6 tribulation primordial spirit perfection couldn't withstand Ah Qing's sword? In the Immortal Palace, the old Azure Dragon and the others didn't know what to say anymore. Lu Qing's performance continuously shattered their understanding. Whether it was breaking the test in the 4th level of the Sword Dao channel in just a quarter hour or slaying a 6 tribulation primordial spirit with 5 tribulations, it is far from something that can simply be explained with the word genius. So they could only continue watching to see if Lu Qing would show even more astonishing performance. But the old Azure Dragon and the others had a vague feeling that maybe Lu Qing wouldn't need their help this time. With the strength he was displaying now, even if he couldn't defeat Mo Tushan, at least he wouldn't be without the means to protect himself. Only Little Li remained calm, not the least bit surprised. In its eyes, Lu Qing was omnipotent. Back when he was in the Golden Core realm, he could transcend a whole major realm and fight a primordial spirit realm cultivator. Now, cutting down a 6 tribulation with 5 tribulations seemed all too normal. If Lu Qing couldn't do it, that would be strange. Huh? No one in the 5th level. Lu Qing's figure appeared in the Sword Dao channel's 5th level. He looked around, finding it empty with no one else present. Only 7 teleportation arrays shimmered on the ground. Did they go to other channels? Or has no one reached this step? Lu Qing had seen similar teleportation arrays before in the array channel. But back then, he was focused on breaking the array and didn't pay attention. Now looking at them, he hesitated whether to check out other channels. But after thinking it over, he decided against it. His main goal for entering this time was to find Emotushan. Each level of the trial channel had a time limit for clearance. Based on the timing, unless Emotushan was eliminated in the physical body channel, it's almost impossible for him to still be at the 5th level. So there was no point in wasting time like this. Lu Qing collected his heart and spirit, activated his superpower, and gazed at the trial sword stone. At this pace, Qing will soon catch up to Emotushan and the others. In the Immortal Palace, the old Azure Dragon watched Lu Qing, who was comprehending sword intent, and suddenly said, "Indeed, Emotushan and Yu Jian have only recently entered the 7th level. With Qing's speed in breaking the levels, even if he slows down later, it won't be long before he catches up with them," the Black Bull agreed. But Qing is on the Sword Dao channel. The first people he might encounter are Yu Jian and that girl named Qing Xii. After the previous incident, they are very vigilant. I'm not sure whether they'll clash with Qing. That's indeed a problem. Hopefully they don't come to blows. If they could join forces, dealing with Emotushan would be much easier. The old Azure Dragon and the others were a bit worried. Yu Jian and Qing Xii had become incredibly cautious after almost being assassinated by Emotushan. If Lu Qing breaks through into the 7th level and those two overreact, Lu Qing could be in significant danger. After all, those were 2 8 Tribulations primordial spirits, especially Yu Jian, whose strength isn't less than Emotushan's and is a true Sword Dao prodigy. His Sword Dao cultivation was brilliant, even standing out amongst peers in their time. If the two of them joined forces, Lu Qing would likely be hard-pressed to withstand them. Qing has entered the 6th level. Suddenly, Ming Feng spoke up. "Senior brother Yu Jian, how has your comprehension come along?" At the 7th stage of the Sword Dao channel, Qing 12 inquired. "The sword intent of this 7th stage is profoundly intricate. I've only grasped about 4 to 5 parts of it so far," Yu Jian sighed. "Senior brother, you can comprehend 4 to 5 parts, while I can only manage 3 parts up to now," Qing Xii said helplessly. "It seems I can't get past this 7th stage, and can't keep up with your pace, senior brother." In the previous stages, Qing Xii could still rely on her innate talent in Sword Dao to follow Yu Jian and clear the stages all the way to this point. But ultimately, her foundation is somewhat lacking compared to Yu Jian's. After such a long time, the sword intent of this 7th stage still seems so elusive, and she could barely grasp 3 parts of its true essence. It seems quite unlikely to completely comprehend it and successfully pass the stage. "Don't give up," Yu Jian encouraged. "There is a 10-year time limit to pass the 7th stage, and only 2 or 3 years have passed so far, so there is still hope. Even if you can't pass the stage, comprehending more of the sword intent here is still beneficial." The sword intent contained within these trial sword stones clearly holds a remarkable Sword Dao inheritance. Comprehending more of it is highly beneficial for our accumulation in Sword Dao. "You're right, senior brother. I've been somewhat too impatient," Qing Xii realized. After this small awakening, she also became somewhat enlightened. In fact, after being here for so long, she already understood that the trial sword stones in this Sword Dao channel are both tests and opportunities. The profound sword intent contained within them is in itself an extremely advanced Sword Dao inheritance. If complete, it would be no less than the core Sword Dao cultivation techniques of their Kongming sect. However, the sword intent of this 7th stage was too deep and obscure for her to comprehend smoothly, which made her a bit impatient. "But senior brother Yu Jian, if I can't pass the stage, I won't be able to join hands with you in the later stages to deal with Emotushan and others," Qing Xii worried. "Don't worry, they might not necessarily be able to overcome me. Besides, I'm not confident in passing this 7th stage either, so it's too early to worry about such things. Yu Jian smiled. With your sword Dao cultivation, senior brother, you will definitely be able to pass the stage. Qing Xii was quite confident about this. Just as Yu Jian was about to say something, suddenly, a light appeared in the space of the 7th stage. The two became immediately alert, with their treasure swords instantly in their hands, the sword lights flashing, ready to fight at any moment. Ever since being ambushed by Mo Tushan once, the two had been somewhat skittish. Whenever there was a commotion, they thought someone was coming to ambush them. However, when they saw the position where the light appeared, it wasn't from those 7 transmission arrays but rather from the very center of the space. Senior brother Yu Jian, this doesn't seem like someone is coming from another channel. Instead, it looks like. Seeing the situation, Qing Xii hesitated to say. Before she could finish her sentence, a figure appeared in the beam of light. Their heart and spirit immediately tightened. Even the old Saiyan dragon, observing from the immortal palace, became tense. They didn't know if Lu Qing would clash with Yu Jian and the others. Yet, when the light dissipated, fully revealing the appearance of the figure within, Yu Jian and Qing Xii were dumbfounded. It's you. Seeing it was actually Lu Qing, Qing 12's eyes widened. Although she had seen that the beam of light meant someone had passed the 6th stage to reach the 7th. But she never expected that the one who passed the stage would be Lu Qing. Qing Xii naturally recognized Lu Qing. When he had toyed with Mo Tushan, she was watching from the side, mocking Mo Tushan along the way. Plus, the speed Lu Qing demonstrated that day left a deep impression on her. What she didn't expect was for Lu Qing to show up at the 7th stage of the Sword Dao channel. From the light pillar earlier, it was clear that he was progressing stage by stage, advancing to the 7th stage. A cultivator with a 5 tribulation primordial spirit managing to keep up with them in the Sword Dao trial channel was astonishing to Qing Xii. She knew not even other disciples from their Kongming sect or the Sky-Breaking Sword sect had reached the 7th stage yet. Among their junior brothers and sisters, there were those who had achieved the 7 tribulations perfection. So it's you two fellow Taoists at the 7th stage, my respects to you both. Seeing Yu Jian and Qing Xii, Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected that after so much time, these two were still at the 7th stage. He had originally thought he would encounter them at least at the 8th or even the 9th stage. Fellow Taoist, you truly hide your skills well. We were all mistaken, Yu Jian sighed. By now, he fully understood that Lu Qing had been concealing his abilities all along. No wonder he dared to venture alone into the returning ruins' secret realm. Taoist, you overpraises me. I haven't even thanked you for your help with that sword blow. Lu Qing expressed his gratitude. When he first entered the returning ruins' secret realm, Mo Tushan attacked Lu Qing, and it was Yu Jian's intervention that allowed him to escape smoothly. Even though Lu Qing believed he could have successfully left without Yu Jian's help. If not for Yu Jian's intervention, he would have had to reveal some of his trump cards. This favor, he remembered. You're joking, fellow Taoist. With your strength, my previous help was unnecessary. Yu Jian didn't feel he had done Lu Qing any favor. Given the speed this person later displayed, escaping from Mo Tushan was a trivial matter and didn't require his assistance. Lu Qing just smiled, without offering much explanation. But I want to ask, I have one thing I'd like to inquire of you two friends, may I? Please go ahead, Yu Jian courteously replied. Although Lu Qing's background is mysterious, he currently doesn't feel any hostility from the other party. Moreover, the other party is in conflict with Mo Tushan, so if he could form an alliance with him, he'd be willing to. The more important thing is that there is something about Lu Qing that he has always been very interested in. Thus, he is more than happy to have the opportunity to get closer to Lu Qing. How long have you guys been at the 7th level here? Have you gone through other passages? And do you know which trial passage Mo Tushan took and what level he is at now? Hearing Lu Qing's series of questions, Yu Jian was momentarily stunned. Then he replied, My junior sister Qing Xii and I have been at this 7th level for almost 3 years. but we haven't gone through other passages. As for Mo Tushan, he took the physical body trial passage originally, but we don't know which level he's at right now. Back at the 5th level, Mo Tushan came to ambush once, and it was during that time that Yu Jian suffered considerable damage. But since then, the other party seems to have vanished and hasn't come back to cause trouble. So Yu Jian and the others also don't know which level Mo Tushan is currently at. The physical body trial passage. Thank you for the information. After listening, Lu Qing nodded and thanked, then proceeded towards the transmission array leading to the physical body trial passage. Friend, wait! Seeing Lu Qing's action, Yu Jian finally reacted and hurriedly shouted. Lu Qing stopped walking, turned, and asked, You friend, is there anything else? Friend, are you planning to go to the physical body trial passage to seek trouble with Mo Tushan? Yu Jian inquired. Beside him, Qing Xii also slightly opened her mouth, gazing at Lu Qing somewhat incredulously. Yes, I'd like to go over and settle some grudges with Mo Tushan. Lu Qing did not deny. Friend, I'm not questioning your strength, but Mo Tushan is not easy to deal with. I hope you reconsider. Yu Jian advised. Thank you for your concern, but even if I'm not a match for Mo Tushan, I still have some assurance of survival. After nodding and thanking, Lu Qing stepped into the transmission array. The next moment, light flickered, and his figure disappeared, heading toward the physical body passage. This 5 tribulation primordial spirit actually dares to actively seek trouble with Mo Tushan? Seeing Lu Qing really go to the physical body passage, Qing Xii finally couldn't help but exclaim lightly. Her eyes were filled with utmost confusion. She couldn't understand where Lu Qing got the courage to go confront Mo Tushan. Admittedly, the speed he showed back then was astonishing. But now, in the trial passage each level space is not very large. When the space is small, the advantage of speed is greatly restricted. After all, at their realm, any Taoist skill can probably cover most of the space. So Qing Xii couldn't comprehend why Lu Qing dared to actively go to Mo Tushan. At this moment, she saw Yu Jian's expression change several times, and he also stepped forward, walking towards the transmission array where Lu Qing had just left. Yu Jian, brother, you're going as well? Qing Xii quickly asked. Indeed. I can't just watch this friend perish at Mo Tushan's hands. Although Yu Jian felt that Lu Qing was very mysterious and should have many trump cards and methods. But ultimately, the other party only has primordial spirit 5 tribulations cultivation. No matter how many trump cards, it's impossible to be a match for Mo Tushan. He couldn't watch a strong person who seemed to hold the sky-breaking sword sect's legacy fall to the hands of evil demons. Indeed, this friend clearly carries exotic treasure, and if it falls into Mo Tushan's hands, it would be troublesome. Though Qing Xii thought Lu Qing was overestimating himself, she also didn't want to watch him die at Mo Tushan's hands. That would inevitably greatly enhance the foundation of that demon. Brother, let's go quickly, or it might be too late. The two quickly entered the transmission array, and with a flash of light, their figures also vanished. Fortunately, they didn't start fighting. In the Immortal Palace, seeing this scene, Old Azure Dragon and a few others finally relaxed a bit. Not only because Lu Qing didn't conflict with Yu Jian and Qing Xii, but also because they followed as well. With Yu Jian and Qing Xii there, even if they don't intervene, Lu Qing shouldn't be in danger. These two youngsters aren't bad. When the secret realm closes, we can grant them some good opportunities. Old Azure Dragon stroked his beard with his claw, smiling contentedly. Indeed, with them here, Mo Tushan will have to be more cautious. Black Bull also remarked. Not necessarily, Ming Feng suddenly said. Look, Mo Tushan seems to have helped too. That's indeed true. Now it's troublesome. Black Bull also saw the situation on the light screen, and immediately became somewhat anxious. On the other side, Lu Qing had just moved through the transmission array, relocated to the physical body passage. Before he had time to observe the surroundings, he felt several penetrating gazes pressing towards him. He remained unfazed, looking forward. There, he saw 3 powerful figures standing in front, coldly looking at him. Among them, a burly figure could only be Mo Tushan. "Boy, is it you?" Mo Tushan originally thought it was a strong individual from another passage, but when he saw Lu Qing, he was momentarily stunned. Even the other two figures also showed surprise. No wonder they were startled. In their view, Lu Qing should not have appeared here, because no matter which seventh level of the trial passage, a mere 5 tribulation primordial spirit should not be able to enter. But after the surprise, Mo Tushan's face showed a sneering smile. "All right, boy. Seems like you were hard to find, but I didn't expect to meet you here. Are you tired of living and came here to die on purpose?" Although he didn't know how Lu Qing appeared here, Mo Tushan didn't care. As long as he captures this boy, he has a way to make him reveal all secrets. "Is that all you can say?" Lu Qing, facing 3 powerful individuals, remained calm and said coldly. At this moment, his expression suddenly changed, and he dodged aside. Right after, the transmission array he came from glowed, and soon 2 figures appeared in it. It was Yu Jian and Qing Xii. "It's you." Seeing Yu Jian and Qing Xii, Mo Tushan was once again stunned, then showed a look of realization. "So that's it. This boy has you backing him. No wonder he's so fearless. What, are you stepping out to defend others instead of being cowards?" Mo Tushan, Peach Demonis, and He Ming, Yu Jian and Qing Xii, after seeing the figures opposite, also became shocked. It turns out that besides Mo Tushan, the other 2 figures were Peach Fairy from the Pavilion of the Enchanting Immortal, and He Ming from the Netherworld Palace. Unexpectedly, they not only reached the 7th level but somehow teamed up. "This is troublesome." Qing Xii felt uneasy. Originally, she and Yu Jian together could easily handle one Mo Tushan. But now these evil demons have for some reason teamed up. In this case, the disadvantaged side is theirs. "Yu Jian brother, long time no see." Upon seeing Yu Jian, He Ming immediately greeted him. However, Yu Jian didn't respond but secretly transmitted through Divine Soul. "Friend, you also see? They outnumber us? We're weak. Shall we retreat?" Lu Qing glanced at Yu Jian, somewhat surprised. He's long used his superpower to probe some basic information about Yu Jian, knowing he's a righteous sword cultivator. Unexpectedly, at this time, he advised retreat. But having finally found Mo Tushan, how could he leave now? After slightly shaking his head towards Yu Jian, he stepped forward. "Demon child of the Black and White Temple, I came this time with no other meaning than wanting to kill you. Come out and face your death." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone's expressions changed. "Come out and face your death." Lu Qing spoke lightly, as if he was going to casually crush an ant. Everyone was shocked by Lu Qing's arrogance. They couldn't believe it was said by someone with only a mere 5 tribulation cultivation in the primordial spirit realm. As for Mo Tushan, he felt an evil fire emerging from the depths of his heart, instantly furious. "You're courting death, kid." With a roar, Mo Tushan's burly figure stepped forward and appeared in front of Lu Qing, throwing a punch. In his rage, he didn't even use a magical treasure, only wanting to use his strong power of the physical body to pummel Lu Qing into pulp with punch after punch. Not good. Yu Jian didn't expect Lu Qing to instantly draw such hatred. Sensing the murderous intent emanating from Mo Tushan, his eyes focused, ready to intervene. But the next moment, the treasure sword he had just lifted froze, staring blankly ahead. Suddenly, a dazzling sword light flickered, illuminating the entire space of the 7th pass of the physical body channel. Boom! The sword light directly slashed onto Mo Tushan, sending his burly body flying backward. Even when he landed, he couldn't stabilize his stance completely and retreated several more steps. What? Everyone was astounded. No one expected Mo Tushan, who had reached 8 tribulations perfection, to be forced back by Lu Qing's sword, especially Mo Tushan, who looked at the deep sword marks left on the inner armor of his arms, then raised his head in disbelief at Lu Qing. The sword light was incredibly fierce. If not for him protecting himself with a magical treasure at the last moment, he might have been sliced in two. But just a 5 tribulation primordial spirit, the sword chi he displayed threatened him more terrifyingly than Yu Jian's. How could this be possible? As for Yu Jian and Qing Xii, they were equally shocked. Both of them were top primordial spirit sword cultivators, not missing the fearsome aspect of Lu Qing's sword. Reflecting on themselves, even if they didn't use their trump cards, the sword chi they could exert fully wouldn't be better. At this moment, they finally understood why Lu Qing could break through the sword Dao channel. His sword Dao cultivation was absolutely not beneath theirs. He nearly sliced Mo Tushan with one sword? Not only the few prodigies of the 7th pass of the physical body channel, but even the 3 mutant beasts in the Immortal Palace were incredibly shocked. Earlier, they saw Mo Tushan suddenly attack, worried whether Lu Qing could withstand it. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, Mo Tushan suffered, nearly sliced by Lu Qing's sword. No need to rush. I have a few questions for you. After we're done, I'll give you a proper death. Amidst the shocked gazes, Lu Qing remained calm, speaking lightly. Kid, I didn't expect you to be hiding your abilities. I underestimated you. No wonder you reached the 7th pass. Mo Tushan's gaze fixated on Lu Qing, growing solemn. The earlier sword made him realize the person in front, seemingly with only 5 tribulation cultivation, was far from simple. Though he didn't know how the opponent's aura was disguised so perfectly that no one noticed anything amiss, he understood that the strength Lu Qing showed was enough to threaten his life. Just the 7th pass. It's not a particularly difficult checkpoint. Lu Qing shook his head. So, are you ready to answer my question? What do you want to ask? Mo Tushan asked casually. Meanwhile, a force within him was secretly brewing. That skull necklace on you is refined from infant skulls, isn't it? Lu Qing's gaze fell on the skull necklace on Mo Tushan's chest. This question startled everyone again. They speculated what Lu Qing might ask, perhaps why Mo Tushan attacked him back then, but they couldn't imagine he'd ask such an unrelated question. Mo Tushan also didn't expect Lu Qing to ask this. After a slight pause, he seemed to realize something, gently stroking the skull necklace, revealing a sinister smile on his face. So that's why you dared to come to me, all for that laughable sense of justice? You so-called righteous people really love using such nauseating excuses. Indeed, this necklace is refined from infant skulls, from 9 female infants born at the most young hour, and 9 males born at the most young hour. What? Does it look good? Mo Tushan gently caressed the skull necklace as if fondling a beloved object, his strange expression making one feel chilled. Evil demon! Yu Jian's expression changed. Cursing directly, sword intent surged from him. Qing 12's face was filled with evil qi, sword light flickered in her grip. There were signs she might slash forward at any moment. Even Peach Fairy and Hei Ming showed surprise. Although they had heard of this rumor before, hearing Mo Tushan admit it personally was still shocking due to his evil nature. The Black and White Temple indeed was the most sinister sect. In terms of inhumanity, even the pavilion of the enchanting Immortal and Netherworld Palace were far behind. Everyone involuntarily looked at Lu Qing, curious about his reaction since he asked the question. Then they saw no change in Lu Qing's expression. He just nodded slightly. Very good. You can die now, and your Black and White Temple needn't exist anymore. You want to act against our Black and White Temple? Mo Tushan seemed to hear something laughable, showing a mocking expression. Kid, you truly don't know your limits. However, before Mo Tushan could finish his words, a streak of sword chi had already reached him, swallowing the rest of the words. This time, Lu Qing's sword chi didn't injure Mo Tushan, because a black demon tower's shadow suddenly appeared, enveloping Mo Tushan, completely blocking the sword chi he unleashed. Kid, I admit you have some strength. As a reward for your 2 swords, next, I will crush your bones and veins one by one, extract your primordial spirit, and refine it into my 9 abyss demon tower. Let you neither live nor die. Suffer endlessly in the burning of demon fire for eternity. Feeling the mountain-like power within him, Mo Tushan looked at Lu Qing, displaying a cruel smile. I see. So it's this top-grade demon artifact giving you confidence. Looking at the demon tower's shadow surrounding Mo Tushan and its terrifying power, Lu Qing remained indifferent. The next moment, a spirit sword appeared in his hand. As Lu Qing grasped the long sword, his entire aura changed. From being calm and collected moments ago, he suddenly exuded a chilling intent to kill. He was now like a sharp sword unsheathed, possessing the momentum to cut through everything. The long sword in his hand emitted an unrivaled sharpness, causing everyone to feel a shiver in their heart and spirit. A high-grade spirit sword. Those present were all true disciples from the major sects, with extraordinary insight. Sensing the terrifying edge of the sword in Lu Qing's hand, they immediately understood that this was obviously a spirit sword that had reached the spiritual artifact level. What surprised them even more was the sword intent emanating from Lu Qing at this moment, which was strikingly similar to Yu Jian's. It was clearly the core inheritance of the Sky-Breaking Sword sect, the Sky-Breaking Sword Qi. Could it be that this strange Five Tribulation primordial spirit kid was actually a dark hand planted by the Sky-Breaking Sword sect? Peach Fairy and Hei Ming looked towards Yu Jian, somewhat uncertainly and suspiciously. Even Qing Xii couldn't help but turn her gaze over, watching Yu Jian. Then they saw the surprised look on Yu Jian's face, but amidst the shock, there was a hint of realization, as if he understood something. So the green mist sword ended up in Ah Qing's hands. In the Immortal Palace, several of the old maple dragons saw the long sword in Lu Qing's hand and suddenly realized. A high-grade spirit sword? Mo Tushan looked at the green mist sword Lu Qing took out, initially slightly startled, not expecting the other party to also have a high-grade spirit artifact. But quickly, greed flashed in his eyes. As long as he could kill Lu Qing and seize the high-grade spirit sword in his hands, then his trip to the returning ruin's secret realm would be considered extremely fruitful. Even if he ultimately couldn't pass the physical body passage and enter the Immortal Palace, it would still have been worth the trip. I see, no wonder you're so arrogant. Turns out you're relying on a high-grade spirit sword. Kid, thank you for delivering my treasure sword. I'll gladly accept this generous gift. As his voice fell, Mo Tushan transformed into a black light, enveloped by the shadow of the demon tower, instantly arriving in front of Lu Qing, and punched out. Under the enhancement of the top-grade demon artifact, the omnipresent suppressive force of the returning ruin's secret realm seemed dissolved, allowing Mo Tushan's speed to soar to an extreme, even faster than the extreme speed Lu Qing had displayed outside that day. The power emanating from him had even surpassed the limit of 8 tribulations, reaching a level comparable to a 9 tribulations primordial spirit. The terrifying speed made it seem like Lu Qing couldn't dodge in time, and could only watch as Mo Tushan's fist was about to smash into his head. Before the fist even landed on Lu Qing's face, a sinister smile appeared on Mo Tushan's face. He seemed to have already seen the outcome of Lu Qing's head being shattered by his punch. However, the next moment, Mo Tushan sensed something was wrong. He saw his fist hit Lu Qing's face, only to find it was empty, with no resistance. His opponent's figure, following his punch, dissipated like foam. What? Mo Tushan was suddenly shocked, as even with his primordial spirit sense, he hadn't detected that what he had faced was actually a phantom. Your speed is too slow. Just then, Lu Qing's voice sounded from the side. Boom! Before Mo Tushan could turn his head, a sword chi had already hit his body. This time, the shadow of the demon tower surrounding Mo Tushan trembled violently under Lu Qing's sword chi's strike. First, it shook violently, then shattered with a loud crash. Impossible! Mo Tushan's eyes widened, although Lu Qing's sword chi also shattered after breaking the demon tower shadow. But he was still unable to accept this result. The 9 Abyss Demon Tower was his strongest reliance, and its manifested shadow would not budge even in the face of an 8 Tribulations Perfection primordial spirit. Yet it couldn't withstand even one sword from Lu Qing. With the support of the high-grade spirit sword, Lu Qing's sword chi had likewise surpassed the 8 tribulations limit, reaching the 9 tribulations domain. Swish swish. Before Mo Tushan could react, the green radiant sword in Lu Qing's hand moved again. Storm-like sword chi surged towards Mo Tushan. Each sword chi was no weaker than the one just slashed. In an instant, Mo Tushan was engulfed by the terrifying sword chi storm. The powerful sword chi storm even forced the others back repeatedly, retreating to the corners of the space, watching this scene with horrified eyes. How is it so strong? He Ming and Peach Fairy's heart and spirit trembled, unable to believe that Lu Qing's power could be so formidable. Even someone as strong as Mo Tushan was completely overwhelmed. To think that after activating that Black Demon Tower, Mo Tushan would still pose a tremendous threat to them. They never expected him to be directly suppressed by Lu Qing, the terrifying sword chi almost making them suspect that Mo Tushan might have fallen on the spot. Could Mo Tushan have died? Qing Xii couldn't help but ask. Not that easy. Although Yu Jian was also shocked at the strength Lu Qing displayed, he shook his head at these words. The direct lineage true disciples of the Black and White Temple are not that easy to kill. They cultivate evil techniques which place great emphasis on physical body cultivation, making their life energy incredibly resilient. Unless you can kill them outright in an instant, even if there's just a single breath left, they'll recover quickly, making them incredibly troublesome. Roar! As if to confirm Yu Jian's words, a roar suddenly sounded, and a demon tower shot up into the sky, expanding rapidly, directly smashing all of Lu Qing's sword chi. Following that, a figure resembling a small mountain emerged from the sword chi flying all over the sky. It was Mo Tushan. At this moment, Mo Tushan transformed into a giant over 10 feet tall. Although there were some horrifying wounds on his body, they quickly healed under his formidable life energy. In his right hand, he held a gigantic black demon tower, surrounded by dense black aura, like black dragons accentuating his formidable presence. From time to time, the demonic aura transformed into human-shaped skeletons, adding a touch of evil to his fierceness. Boy, you've truly angered me, forcing me to use this move. If I don't devour you alive, I cannot alleviate the hatred in my heart. Mo Tushan gazed venomously at Lu Qing. His black demon body couldn't be used at will because every time it was used, a large amount of vengeful soul essence blood painstakingly collected was consumed. Originally, the massive amount of vengeful soul essence blood he collected was intended to be used to break through to the 9 tribulations of primordial spirit. Now, being forced by Lu Qing to use it early, his breakthrough time was greatly delayed. How could Mo Tushan not harbor resentment? As his words fell, he took the initiative, grasping the massive black 9-layered demon tower, and fiercely suppressed it down towards Lu Qing. The power of the strike was unparalleled, even causing slight fluctuations in the space of this 9th barrier, reaching almost the peak level of the 9 tribulations of primordial spirit. The terrifying space-suppressing force fell upon Lu Qing, as if to seal him in place completely. Not good. Defend quickly. Feeling the power of Mo Tushan's strike, Yu Jian and the others all changed their expressions drastically. Even being positioned at the corners of space, they all hastily employed their respective protective Taoist skills and treasures to protect themselves. If not, once Mo Tushan's strike fully descended, they might suffer considerable impact. Can that friend withstand it? While employing protective treasures, they also kept a close watch on the front. The move Mo Tushan used had extremely strong sealing power, highly restraining Lu Qing's speed. Moreover, its range was extremely broad, making dodging nearly impossible, leaving him to face it head-on. But such a terrifying strike, even if it were them, they wouldn't be confident in taking it. As a sword cultivator, Lu Qing's sword Dao cultivation was indeed powerful, and his attacks were unparalleled, but his defense wasn't necessarily so. So no one dared to guarantee if he could survive this strike. Prepare to rescue him. Even the few old azure dragons in the immortal palace had their hearts in their throats. The surging law power flowed within them, ready to rescue Lu Qing at any moment. Though it seemed complicated, everything happened in the blink of an eye. From Mo Tushan's rage transforming him into a giant, holding the Black Demon Tower to suppress Lu Qing, to the crowd deploying protective methods, or old Azure Dragon and the others preparing to save him. Everything occurred within a single breath. Under all eyes, the enormous Black Demon Tower descended on Lu Qing like a falling star. Then, they witnessed an unforgettable scene. Suffering no change in expression in the face of the collapsing Black Demon Tower, Lu Qing merely extended a palm, gently lifting upwards. The next moment, the shadow of the Black Demon Tower completely enveloped him. Boom! An overwhelming force exploded, capable of crushing a typical primordial spirit realm cultivator, sweeping across the entire seventh barrier space, even causing space ripples to surface, illustrating the terrifying nature of the strike. If Yu Jian and the others weren't also 8th Tribulation primordial spirit experts who had deployed protective techniques in advance, they likely would have been severely injured by this single attack. The full exertion of Mo Tushan's strength is frighteningly formidable. Yu Jian and his companions felt horrified internally. They introspected that if facing the current state of Mo Tushan, they'd have no choice but to temporarily avoid confrontation. The test passage was set by a transformation immortal, otherwise, under such immense power, it might have long been shattered. Is that kid dead? After the storm of power passed, this was everyone's second thought. Upon setting their sights forward, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. In front, Mo Tushan still held the Black Demon Tower, maintaining a suppressive stance. But beneath that tower, Lu Qing wasn't crushed to pieces. Instead, he stood there just fine. The reason he wasn't crushed was that his raised palm was firmly supporting the edge of the Black Demon Tower, preventing it from fully descending. How is this possible? Everyone stared dumbfounded at the scene. Nobody expected Lu Qing to hold up the terrifying mountain-sized Black Demon Tower with just one palm. It was a sight akin to an ant lifting a giant dragon, leaving them utterly shocked. This is impossible. The one who couldn't accept it the most, of course, was Mo Tushan. His face was filled with disbelief, unable to comprehend how his strongest strike had been caught single-handedly by Lu Qing. No matter how much he channeled the tower's power, he couldn't lower it further. His opponent's arm was like a pillar supporting the heavens, completely unyielding. Indeed, an unrefined treasure is still lacking. Divine power surged within Lu Qing's body, empowering him immensely. He stored away the green mist sword in his hand. All these years, he hadn't had the chance to fully refine and control this high-grade spirit sword. The power it unleashed was insufficient to kill the strong Mo Tushan with his demon body. If that's the case, Lu Qing raised his hand, moved the Black Demon Tower overhead a bit, and met Mo Tushan's gaze. I almost forgot you took the physical body test passage. It seems your demon body is your greatest reliance. Arrogant fool. Mo Tushan, looking at Lu Qing's calm gaze, inexplicably felt a chill rising from the bottom of his heart. But he quickly erased this chill and grew angry once more. As a perfect primordial spirit 8th Tribulation cultivator and the most outstanding disciple of the Black and White Temple, how could he be intimidated by a mere nobody? He immediately raised the demon tower again, fiercely suppressing it down on Lu Qing. He refused to believe that this boy could withstand his attacks forever. However, this time, Mo Tushan's tower only descended halfway before suddenly freezing, unable to move further. The reason was simple. 2 fingers pinched the Black Demon Tower. But those 2 fingers were already thicker than Mo Tushan's entire arm. Mo Tushan's body stiffened, eyes widened as he looked ahead, his eye corners twitching, seemingly witnessing something extremely terrifying. A form much larger than him stood before him at an unknown time, using 2 fingers to lightly pinch his tower like a toy. It is evident you're confident in your demon body. Lu Qing's thunderous voice rumbled like it fell from the sky. Then let me send you off with the power you're proudest of. With that, Mo Tushan felt an unbeatable force snatching the tower from his hands. Soon after, he felt himself engulfed by a shadow. Looking up, he saw a hand, many times larger than his body, pressing down from above. No! The intense threat of death enveloped Tushan's heart. His face showed terror, demonic chi surging frantically as he tried to retreat. Yet, as the giant hand descended, it already suppressed the surrounding space, rendering him immobile, just as he had previously done to Lu Qing. Tushan could only despairingly watch Lu Qing's palm press down onto him. Boom! With a single strike, his face showed terror, demonic chi surging desperately as he tried to retreat. Yet, as the giant hand descended, it already suppressed the surrounding space, rendering him immobile, just as he had previously done to Lu Qing. Tushan could only despairingly watch Lu Qing's palm press down onto him. Boom! With a single strike, the terrifying might rampaged within the 7th level of the physical body path. Yu Jian and the others had retreated to the corner of the space, desperately channeling their mana, maintaining a precarious protective technique. But compared to this, what shocked them more was what happened ahead. They tried hard to open their eyes wide, staring at the front, looking at that majestic figure, a towering body over 100 feet tall. What kind of monster is that? At this moment, Yu Jian and the others had no other thoughts, just staring wide-eyed at the scene. Just now, when Tushan tried to attack again, they watched as Lu Qing's figure disappeared from where he stood, replaced by a colossus more than 10 times taller than Tushan. Then that giant struck down with a palm, instantly flattening Tushan. This impactful scene directly stunned them all. They couldn't imagine what Lu Qing was, being able to transform into such a terrifying giant. It seems like the true witch body of the ancient witch clan. Why cannot Qing perform it? Within the immortal palace, the 3 of Old Saiyan dragons stared at everything happening on the screen, equally shocked. Because they had used the calming mirror to check the bloodline, they were very sure that Lu Qing was a pure human race. Yet why can he now display the witch body that only the legendary ancient witch clan could use? Moreover, from the aura Lu Qing was releasing now, he had obviously reached an extremely high realm, even surpassing his sword Dao cultivation. For a moment, all 3 mutant beasts were filled with confusion and doubt. Boom! Under everyone's dazed gaze, Lu Qing slowly raised his palm. Beneath his palm, a mess of meat, entangled with demonic chi, was tightly stuck to the ground. As Lu Qing raised his palm, that mess of meat began twisting and struggling again, demonic chi continuously gathering, attempting to reform the physical body. At the same time, a strong wave of primordial spirit emanated. Impossible! You can't possibly have such power. I don't believe it. It must be said, the robust life energy of the 8 tribulation primordial spirit, even shattered to pieces, didn't immediately demise. Obviously, Tushan was not completely dead, still wanting to struggle in vain. But how could Lu Qing possibly give him this opportunity? As his palm rose slightly, it struck down again with force. Boom! Tushan's barely formed physical body was once again blasted into meat paste. The gathered demonic chi dispersed once more, becoming much darker, and the aura dropped significantly. This palm directly caused much of Tushan's essence to vanish again. Lu Qing, indifferent, raised his hand, striking down again. Like this, with each palm of Lu Qing, Tushan's life grew weaker. After 7 palms, it was as weak as a candle in the wind, barely perceptible. The mess of meat stuck tightly to the ground, no longer moving. Lu Qing stopped, withdrew the true witch body, returning to his original physical body. He shook his hand, having some understanding of his current strength. Since stepping into the 5 tribulations realm, his true witch body had also reached the small success level. The manifested witch body had actually reached 1,000 feet in size, only limited by the space of the 7th level, thus restraining some of its might, keeping it at around 100 feet. Yet even so, Tushan with 8 tribulations perfection cultivation and wielding a superior demon treasure still couldn't withstand a single palm of his. Lu Qing realized that previously he had underestimated his own strength slightly. Now, an 8 tribulation primordial spirit was no match for him. As for 9 tribulations, that would require an actual confrontation to be certain. Walking up to the meat paste that Mo Tushan had become, Lu Qing sensed the faint life aura, expression indifferent. In truth, if he wanted, just 3 palms would be enough to completely kill Mo Tushan. The reason for putting more effort, slowly consuming his essence, was just to let Mo Tushan feel what despair truly meant. Even now, leaving a trace of life was because he didn't yet want Mo Tushan to die so soon. Demon child, why aren't you screaming anymore? Lu Qing flicked a wisp of transparent flame onto the mass of meat. The terrifying temperature of the Nanming leaving fire caused the mass of meat to tremble. A faint wave of primordial spirit, carrying fear, emanated. You, what kind of monster are you? Just a 5 tribulation primordial spirit you look down upon as an ant. Lu Qing said indifferently. Mo Tushan fell silent. At this moment he completely understood. From beginning to end, Lu Qing was merely pretending to be weak while being powerful. And he was the real fool. Is it possible not to kill me? I can pay any price, whether it's a cultivation technique or treasure, as long as you want it, I will do everything to get it for you. Mo Tushan pleaded. Lu Qing smiled. Do you know why I left you a trace of life? Didn't directly kill you? Mo Tushan trembled. He initially thought Lu Qing spared him to negotiate terms, igniting a glimmer of hope. But now hearing Lu Qing's words, he instinctively felt something was amiss, an icy chill surging from the depths of his divine soul. Without waiting for him to speak, a wave of divine skills had already descended, enveloping him, extracting his exceedingly weak primordial spirit, trapping it in an illusion realm space within Lu Qing's palm. Endless illusions began emerging from Mo Tushan's divine soul. At the same time, Lu Qing's voice rang out again. That's naturally because you've yet to receive your true punishment, demon child. Enjoy how those living creatures you slaughtered are exacting their revenge upon you. Boundless fear spread from the depths of Mo Tushan's heart, and he cried out in terror. No, please, spare me. The voice was cut off, but everyone could hear the horror in Mo Tushan's last words. Looking at the lifeless mass of flesh on the ground, and the space of illusions in Lu Qing's hand, in which Mo Tushan's primordial spirit was drowning, his twisted visage occasionally letting out anguished screams, clearly undergoing boundless torment. Everyone felt a chill emerge from their hearts, crawling up their spines. The mighty 8 tribulations perfection primordial spirit realm warrior, a direct lineage true disciple of the Black and White Temple, was thus destroyed by someone, his physical body annihilated, his primordial spirit extracted for torture. At this moment, Lu Qing in everyone's eyes had become an utterly terrifying existence. Especially He Ming and Peach Fairy, whose gazes were filled with fright when looking at Lu Qing. Judging by his previous performance, he seemed to belong to the righteous camp. If he were to cause trouble for them, they had no confidence at all in being able to resist. There was no way around it. Lu Qing's colossal body like a deity and demon, and the boundless might in his casual gestures, were simply too fearsome. He Ming and Peach Fairy even felt that even if a true 9 tribulations primordial spirit appeared, it might not necessarily be Lu Qing's match. Fortunately, Lu Qing did not pay any attention to He Ming and Peach Fairy, instead tucking the illusion space into the leaving fire tripod. Then he put away Mo Tushan's storage magical treasure, incinerated the physical body, and picked up the Black Demon Tower. Although the artifact spirit of the Black Demon Tower was still present, Lu Qing's earlier displayed prowess had completely frightened it. From beginning to end, it dared not resist at all, obediently being tucked into the storage magical treasure by Lu Qing. After finishing all this, he finally approached the transmission arrays. It must be said, this trial channel was indeed created by a transformation immortal. Even after such intense battle just now, there was still not the slightest damage. Even the 7 transmission arrays on the ground remained unscathed. Lu Qing nodded in acknowledgement to Yu Jian and the others, then stepped into the transmission array leading to the Sword Dao channel. With a flash of light, Lu Qing's silhouette disappeared into the transmission array. Huff! Seeing Lu Qing leave, the four still at the 7th stage of the physical body channel breathed a collective sigh of relief. Then they were stunned, glanced at each other, and revealed a bitter smile. Brother Yu Jian, who exactly is this person, to have caused Mo Tushan to fall so effortlessly into his hands? Could he be a peerless prodigy secretly nurtured by your sky-breaking sword sect? He Ming couldn't help but ask. Peach Fairy and Qing Xii also looked to Yu Jian. They hadn't forgotten that the sword Qi Lu Qing had unleashed earlier was extremely reminiscent of sky-breaking sword sect's secret sword intent. If Lu Qing had no relation to sky-breaking sword sect, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. However, faced with their inquiries, Yu Jian's expression remained unchanged as he said, "That's not something you need to worry about, Qing Xii junior sister. Let's go." With that, he too headed towards the transmission array leading to the Sword Dao channel. Seeing this, Qing 12 hurriedly followed. Originally, she even had thoughts of settling scores with Peach Fairy. But for some reason, after witnessing Lu Qing and Mo Tushan's battle, she suddenly felt disinterested and lost the desire to fight. With another flash of light, Yu Jian and Qing 12's figures also vanished into the transmission array. "Brother He Ming, what do we do now?" Peach Fairy asked. "What can we do? Return to our respective channels? And continue breaking through? Can we even follow them?" He Ming said with a bitter smile. Peach Fairy immediately shook her head. Having witnessed Lu Qing's terrifying power, she dared not get close to such a fearsome person. Just the thought of Lu Qing transforming into a 100-jong giant and crushing Mo Tushan with a palm caused her heart to tremble uncontrollably. Though the pavilion of the enchanting immortals cultivation technique was profound, capable of silently enchanting all beings to submit at her feet. Faced with someone like Lu Qing, she dared not exude the slightest enchanting aura, afraid the other might rage and turn her to pulp as well. This wasn't speculation, but instinctive intuition. As a genius born with a divine soul stronger than most, Peach Fairy deeply trusted her intuition. And it was by relying on this innate, divine intuition that she climbed step by step from a mere outer disciple of the pavilion of the enchanting immortal, to become the current true disciple master sister. Thus, she absolutely did not wish to approach that terrifying man again. Who would have thought Mo Tushan would die just like that? Now the black and white temple is bound to erupt in chaos. After calming down a bit, He Ming seemed somewhat smug. Though Netherworld Palace and the black and white temple both belonged to the evil path, they didn't get along. Since He Ming had no friendship with Mo Tushan. Mo Tushan's physical body was already turned to ash, and his primordial spirit captured. Given Lu Qing's displayed ruthlessness, he surely wouldn't survive. The most outstanding disciple of the younger generation suddenly dead. His form and spirit completely destroyed. He Ming didn't even need to think to know the black and white temple would certainly rage. Even if Mo Tushan had a contingency plan that allowed revival, it would only mean starting from scratch. The peerless cultivation painstakingly achieved over years, consuming untold resources, will vanish into nothing. Along with the lost various magical treasures, this would be a great loss for the Black and White Temple. Given the nature of those maniacs in the Black and White Temple, who knows what they might do? But He Ming knows one thing: there will surely be a spectacle to watch this time. Brother He Ming, I'm still somewhat uneasy. Why not let me accompany you to the Law Channel side to wait for a while? At this moment, Peach Fairy suddenly said coquettishly. No need. Unexpectedly, He Ming refused. I happened to have some insight into the 7th stage trial of the Law Channel earlier. Now I'll try to break through in one go. I might not be able to look after you. Previously, He Ming wouldn't have rejected the embrace of this breathtaking beauty. But having witnessed Lu Qing's might, he had no such thoughts for the time being. He never once imagined there existed such a powerful primordial spirit realm among the world. Lu Qing's existence caused him to feel intense insecurity. Even the 9 tribulations primordial spirits hidden within the sect, focused on cultivation, had never made him feel such a threatening dread. Currently, he only wanted to break through quickly and enter the Immortal Palace. If he gains the opportunities within the Immortal Palace, perhaps he'll gain the means to contend with Lu Qing. Ignoring Peach Fairy's resentful gaze, He Ming stepped onto the transmission array to the Law Channel, swiftly departing. Men indeed aren't to be trusted. Seeing He Ming truly leave, Peach Fairy's resentful gaze turned cold. She mulled it over, her expression changing for a while, then ultimately stepped onto another transmission array. With a flash of light, Peach Fairy's silhouette also disappeared. The seventh stage of the physical body channel returned to its usual tranquility. But within the Immortal Palace, Old Cyan Dragon and the others who had been watching all along couldn't calm their emotions. He really won. An 8 Tribulations Perfection cultivator wielding a top-grade demon artifact was slain so effortlessly by Qing? Old Cyan Dragon muttered. The eyes of Black Bull and Ming Feng also revealed shock. At this moment, even with their Unity Realm cultivation, these 3 mutant beasts were deeply astonished by the strength Lu Qing displayed. Unlike Yu Jian and those Primordial Spirit Realm individuals, they knew that Lu Qing's cultivation was indeed only Primordial Spirit 5 Tribulations. With a body of Primordial Spirit 5 Tribulations, he slew an 8 Tribulations Primordial Spirit. Moreover, he struck down a Primordial Spirit from a major faction. Even in ancient times, they had never witnessed such a feat.